just so everybody knows, if you are watching this on Sean's page, you're actually watching Two Cops, One Donut, and this is our show. And Sean was nice enough to link to the channel so we can share our audience and everybody can chop it up together in the chat. And just so you guys know, one of the things that we love about this show is the chat in itself. So please ask questions, do all that stuff. But I do want to put out some disclaimers. I am still a current cop, as well as Matt. So there are certain things that we just don't want to get fired for, and this podcast does definitely not make us independently wealthy. So we got we got to do what we got to do. There's certain things we're just not going to be able to dig into. We will tell you when we can and why. But yeah, we want to try to be as open and transparent and have fun and answer questions and talk about basically Sean tonight. Our show, I want our audience to kind of understand Sean and everything. But before we do that, I'm going to try to pop the chat up and just see who's in the house. I know we got a lot of people from ours in the background today, also supporting the show as Alan and Deadleg from Two Cops, One Donut. They are in the background trying to mitigate all of the chat. And I told Sean that the chat was going to go crazy, more than we're used to and can probably keep up with, because already there's like 1,100 people chatting away, Sean. So it's going to be difficult. But let's get to our guest. Sean, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what it is that has made you so popular?
Oh, wow. So my name is Sean Paul Reyes. I run the channel Long Island Audit. I've been doing for 4 years now, basically conducting First Amendment audits. I cover matters of public interest when it comes to law enforcement. I do trainings with law enforcement agencies, district attorneys' offices. As far as what has made me grow the way I've grown, and throughout all my platforms, I think we have a little bit over 2 million subscribers / followers and about 50 million views every single month across all platforms, maybe a little bit more than that. But I would just say how I got started is I used to watch First Amendment auditing, and I thought it could be done in a different way, not necessarily better, but a different way. I wanted to peacefully exercise my rights, use it as an educational tool for law enforcement. I'm not anti-law enforcement in any way, or else I wouldn't be on this channel right now. I wouldn't be visiting and doing ride-alongs with police departments. That's not what it's about. I'm for law and order. I'm just about transparency and accountability in our government, specifically law enforcement. And I think my approach is why I've grown so much. It's all thanks to my supporters, my viewers, subscribers. They have supported me these last 4 years, and I've gotten a bunch of opportunities because of it. And I'm just happy and very proud and humbled to be where I am today.
Yeah, and your style is honestly one of the things that we've highlighted several times on our show. Matt has made it a point several times to bring you up, talk about the way you handle things and stuff like that as well. And then we use the connection through Matt to do that. So Matt, now you were probably one of the first supporters of Sean and what he does. Can you kind of explain from your law enforcement point of view what it is you like about his auditing style?
I remember watching just the basic education that he follows up with. I mean, most auditors, if you act correctly and honor your oath, there shouldn't be any issue whatsoever. But I've seen Sean like talk to people after the fact, and not even trying to jam them up to embarrass them, just to explain and educate was his like main goal. And I was like, okay, that's different. He's not just trying to put people on blast every time he goes out. And I see there's some very, very authentic conversations that he has with these officers that's like, wow, this is like a professor teaching people that should already know what he knows. It's embarrassing for us that he's got to explain this stuff, but it was so groundbreaking and respectful. I was like, man, this guy's different.
Yeah.
And that's when I got addicted.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, one of the things that I got so tired of seeing through Sean's page is I'm like, Jesus, like this is a bigger problem than I anticipated. Look at all the cops that keep falling for this. And it's not like Sean's out there baiting and trapping. Like they're just willing participants, and they're coming up and they're, start going into that tirade of, what are you doing over here? Let me see some ID. And Sean's like, whoa. I'm just filming. Like, what's the deal? And then we start getting into the First Amendment stuff. So Sean, out of your strategies, what have you found works to get across to cops and what doesn't? Because what I tend to see with officers is the last thing that they want with their egos is going to be some civilian trying to explain the law to them because they get paid to enforce the law. What do you know? Are you a lawyer? So you can take several different approaches, like, I know the law better than you, buddy, or whatever. What
Right.
worked for you the best?
Yeah, see, I always try and diminish my own knowledge. I am very fascinated by the law. I'm a student of the law. I have a bunch of attorneys who are friends of mine. You know, doing what I do, I need to surround myself with attorneys. And I have Jacob Uriel's one of them, criminal defense attorney in Brooklyn, New York. And he actually is a former prosecutor. He has a wealth of knowledge. I've learned so much from him. He's kind of taken me under his wing. Basically, I try and utilize what law enforcement officers should utilize: de-escalation. I try and treat them like a human, not just somebody with a badge. Like, you know, I do ask them for their name and badge number, just because I think it's for every encounter. I think it's important for public servants to identify themselves to members of the public. I don't know what's going to happen next. I want to know who this person is. So if it does something happen, I can hold them accountable. It's just like my first little test to say, hey, are you going to be professional, or are you going to just be like, my name's right here, and, you know, give me attitude right off of the rip? Because
Read it.
I don't right. Just
Yeah.
read. Some people can't read, right?
Yeah.
But you know, it's about being professional. I try and de-escalate the situation. I try and keep my cool and speak in an even tone. Don't raise my voice. Don't use any profanities. Don't try and criticize the officer off the rip. I will criticize an officer if he's doing things that, you know, I believe violate the Constitution. I believe violate my rights. I will criticize them for that, and I will bring it up. I have no qualms about doing that. But I try off just to start off with, hey, let's do this. Let's start off. Hey, my name is Sean. As long as they identify themselves to me, I say my name is Sean. Well, what's your last name? What's your address? That's too much for me. Let's just move on with the conversation. It's not going to help you in any way. You know, I just want to keep the conversation as fluid as possible, explain exactly what I'm doing. I'm an independent journalist. I'm working on a story. And for those of you who always ask, what's the story? You've never published a story. I mean, they're all stories. They're all stories on how law enforcement and public servants react to a man peacefully exercising his First Amendment right. That is the story. Just so for people who are confused and don't understand, that is the story. It's not another story that I'm working on. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a story that somebody has given me a tip for, and then I go work on that story and I follow up on it. But most of the time, it's just me exercising my rights peacefully. And how do they react to that? And it's not just if they violate my rights or not. It's how professional. I always say, you know, treat us with respect. That's one of the gauges, because I believe that law enforcement, should have high standards, not low standards. And if expecting law enforcement to have high standards is anti-law enforcement, I don't know what to tell you at that point. I believe if any law enforcement out there can say, you know, high standards is a problem, accountability is a problem, transparency is a problem, respecting members of the public is a problem, then you're part of the problem, quite frankly. So I just try and keep my cool. There's really no strategies to it. I just try and be the man that my mother raised me to be, go out there and lead by example and act in a way that I feel proud of, that I can watch the video back and not cringe. You know, when I first started off, I've had some videos where I was like, you know, maybe I could have said that better. Maybe I shouldn't have said this. Looking back on it now, or even my family members, they'll tell me, you know, I don't really like the way you acted that way. And then, you know, some of my audience would be like, you're too humble, you are too meek. You got to tell them, you got to really get at them. And that's not the way I operate, you know, because a judge is going to see that video one day. Maybe a jury is going to see it one day. And I want to be able to hold my head up high when that video is being played and say, I didn't do anything wrong. Not only did I do nothing illegal, I was completely professional throughout.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of, you know, and okay, so it's kind of cheesy to say it this way, but historically it's still accurate. The movie with Mel Gibson, The Patriot. You remember the line when that general was chastising the other British commander, and he said, you know, he goes, it's not winning the war, it's the manner in which you win it. And I think that speaks a lot to the way that you conduct yourself while you're out there. And one of the things that I like and that we try to highlight with your videos is you never open the door. They do. The cops that mess up with you, they seem to open that door. You know, you asking somebody for their name and badge number, if that triggers an egotistical response, you've already got them. Emotionally, they're hijacked right away. They're no longer thinking logistically, reasonably like they should. And Matt goes into that a lot. Matt, what is some of the things that you notice a lot in these types of videos where cops are screwing up?
The ego. It's so easy. That's why it's so simple that Sean is like the ego mirror.
Yeah.
You can tell in 10 seconds. Okay, this dude, in my opinion, if you got an ego that can be rubbed wrong by Sean, then you shouldn't even have a badge, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's that's really it to me. Ego and knowing the law, knowing your job.
Yeah.
He sets the officers right in the correct manner and shows them that they should be learning from him.
Yeah.
And it really angers me when I think about it, because they've come after him in some videos, like one of the 5 mafia families, just sending people after him. It's
that video of him at the jail when they just it looked like a movie. I mean, literally, it didn't look real. He's like, I need backup, and then all of a sudden, like 80 cops or jailers or whatever the hell they were come out. Why? Because a dude's in an open area filming.
I don't get that. I never have. And
I tell the officers all the time, listen, I'm not a threat to you. I'm not a threat for your safety or anything, because they're like, I don't know who you are. Well, no one knows who anybody is. Hi, my name's Sean. Nice to meet you. Like, this is, if you're scared of strangers, you probably shouldn't be in law enforcement. Like you meet new people every day on the job, and Matt's right. It's ego. And I saw Matt's video when he made that video that went viral about First Amendment auditors. I thought it was so cool and so brave of him to do, because a lot of law enforcement officers are scared to come out, and I have a bunch of law enforcement officers who email me behind the scenes, and they're terrified of speaking out against what they say, what I call the thin blue line, in fear of retaliation. And Eric, we've talked about this offline, where I've dealt with public servants who have been retaliated for supporting me, paramedics, law enforcement officers, and they're terrified of coming out and saying that they support me, and it's really like, you're scared of saying you support the Constitution and support, accountability in law enforcement, and you're scared that something bad is going to happen to you or they're going to retaliate. That's a problem. That's a culture problem within law enforcement, and that's something that needs to change. And as far as the ego, I try not to have an ego. No one's perfect here in this world, but I try my best not to have an ego. I don't let, having almost 1 million subscribers on YouTube or 2 million total to try and get to my head. I'm just Sean Paul Reyes. I'm just trying to do my job every single day, be a good father, be a good husband, be a good person. But you can learn from anybody. I love to learn. I'll learn from a beat cop on the street if he has some valuable knowledge for me. Like, I'm not an attorney. I'm not anybody special. I don't have any special education. I've taken the time out of my life to learn and to educate myself on certain topics, but I'm not smarter than anybody else, and I'm always willing to learn. And I think if law enforcement had that mentality where, listen, I know this is just some random guy on the street, and he's telling me about the First Amendment and the New York State Right to Monitor Act, and I have no idea what he's talking about. They're like, who's this guy? I've been doing this job for 15 years. I know what I'm doing. Sometimes you don't, and sometimes you can learn a thing or two, and we can part friends.
Yeah. So I want to open it up to let some people's questions come through. Now, I apologize because the chats are going faster than we can keep up with. They're flying through, so I'm trying to keep up the best I can. I managed to pull this one out of Mr. Billfold, so this one goes to you, Sean. He said,
Billfold, my guy.
Yeah, he's one of our main guys. He said, are you going to file against those troopers in Elmira? What made you decide not to take the ride that day? So can you give us a backstory on that, if you know what he's
Sure. So Elmira video just came out. Elmira Correctional Facility. It's a facility that I was very interested in. Just historically, it used to hold Confederate soldiers there, so I went there to check it out. And one of the state troopers, the New York State troopers that arrived, we had a great conversation with. I had a great conversation with one of them. He's like, I get what you're doing. I get your mission. I appreciate it. And then the other cop comes and he's like, you're going to leave now or you're going to go to jail. So under threat of arrest, I left the facility in New York. So the First Amendment, and again, this is not legal advice to anybody. This is just my understanding of the law. But the First Amendment, you have reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions, different forums, traditional, limited, and public forums. But the New York State has a law that's been codified, that is the New York State Right to Monitor Act. And it says you have the right to record law enforcement, correctional officers, security officers, any sort of officer in the course of their duty from public property, and there's no wiggle room in it. So correctional officers operate on correctional facility property, and they enforce their policy over the law. I tried to explain to them, this is a New York State law, read it, and it will tell you exactly what is allowed or not. It basically codifies the First Amendment, right, for the New York State. And there's civil liabilities against the officers who violate this. The only way you can arrest somebody when you're filming is if they're obstructing an OGA, which in New York, I know a lot of states, it's obstruction could be anything, but in New York, it's physical obstruction is written into the statute. So I went there. I was told to leave or I'll be arrested immediately. So I left. So I've had situations where I've left under threat of arrest, and I've had situations where I've taken the ride. It all depends on what I'm trying to accomplish. If it was at a city hall, maybe I'm trying to bring more awareness to it because I'm going to go all out and take it to trial, and I want to get that exposure. I want to take it to a jury of my peers or a courtroom and go all the way. Sometimes, just depends on my life circumstances. I just don't take the ride. And I tell every single activist, First Amendment auditor, whatever you want to call them, you don't have to take the ride. You don't. Yeah, I suggest you don't. Doesn't make you any less of a man. Why would you want to be handcuffed and put in a jail cell? It's so humiliating. It's so demeaning, and it's horrible. It's a horrible experience. I've been arrested 11 times in the last 4 years. I've beaten all the criminal charges against me. But the thing is that
every single one,
every single criminal charge, right? They did drop in some instances, they dropped it to like a violation, which is like a parking ticket, and I was found guilty of the violation, but it's not a crime. So I go with all criminal charges.
So hold on before we go any farther. This is important because we do have a lot of cops that watch what we do.
Right.
And I want them to take that and listen to what the fuck you just said. Sean Paul Reyes, Long Island Audit, if you've got a problem with some of the stuff he does, think about that for a second. This dude has not had criminal charges filed on him one time in the 4+ years you've been doing this.
Right.
Not a single fucking time. That's a huge statement in itself.
Right.
Goes to your,
and that's what I tell people. And I was filming at another correctional facility, and I told her, I told the correctional officer, I said, unfortunately, I've been arrested 11 times. We had a conversation, and she had said, that says a lot about you. And I told her, does it say a lot about me, or does it say a lot about the law enforcement officers across this country, the ones I've dealt with in particular? It doesn't say anything about me. Anybody could be arrested, but if you're convicted, that's a different story. And I wasn't convicted. So at the end of the day, you don't have to take the ride. I didn't take the ride. And to answer the question, I will be filing a lawsuit in state court. Normally I file federal lawsuits. I have one against New York City right now. Again, for our New York City Right to Record Act, for filming in the precincts. A lot of these departments like to enforce their policies, and they don't follow the law. They don't understand the difference, because when it comes to trespassing, they're like, well, they're the property owner, right? They're the manager of the property. They could tell you to leave whenever they want for any reason. But when there's laws in the Constitution behind it, and specifically in New York, there's case law, People v. Leonard, that says you cannot utilize the trespass laws in order to violate a constitutionally or statutory protected activity. So this has already been played out in courts before, and they don't understand this. Even district attorney's office. When I spoke with the district attorney's office in Chatham County in Savannah, Georgia, I told them, like, a lot of them don't understand, because there's so many different nuances to the law that it's impossible for everybody to know everything. But the thing is that once you realize what you're doing is wrong, you need to stop, and you need to dismiss the charges and do the right thing and save face. But they don't do it. That's the problem.
Yeah. I don't normally do this, but this guy wrote a novel, and I want to make sure he gets heard with what he was trying to say. It's really big, so I'm going to read it. Many people are taught that obeying authority is always the right thing to do, but history shows that true morality often means standing up to unjust laws and those who enforce them. Some of the worst crimes in history, slavery, genocide, and oppression, were carried out legally by people who believed they were just doing their jobs. Real changes come from those who resisted, not from those who followed orders. When people stop blindly obeying authority and start thinking for themselves, the power of tyrants disappears. Their strength depends on the support and obedience of regular people. Belief in authority is what allows injustice to grow. It's not evil individuals alone, but the millions who follow orders without question that make large-scale harm possible. If people stopped supporting unjust systems, those systems would collapse. Justice requires personal responsibility, not blind obedience. That's beautiful. That's I mean, really,
Absolutely amazing. Thank you for
great.
writing.
That was great. Harrison Brock threw up 20 memberships, so hopefully some people in the chat's got a hold of those. Thank you, Harrison. Appreciate that. We had some of your people, Sean, throw a couple bucks our way for doing what we're doing. So we appreciate the support, guys. Big time.
Sean, I got a question.
Yeah.
Have you ever like done some math, sat down and done some math and figured out how many millions of dollars have gone of salary have gone into, and hours, man hour time have gone into all of this stuff that you've been through?
Being wasted
I
on you?
couldn't imagine that figure would be.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean that's actually
Tax money.
Yeah, right. That's a good point. And I talk about it a lot, but I've never really looked into the actual billable hours by these attorneys, by defending a lawsuit. I could only imagine how much money. And people say, oh, he's just looking for a lawsuit to get paid. Like, let's be clear. These lawsuits, they're the biggest one I have going. I'm not even suing for money. I'm just suing for the policy change. I could have sued for money, but I didn't think it was the proper venue for money. I have no problem suing government agencies for money. Let me be clear. But it's not an avenue for me to get rich. That is
Do you
not.
sue him for $1,776?
No, that's Jeff Gray.
I know. I love that. That's
great.
Awesome.
That's great.
I love that he does that. I learned that on the last podcast.
An amount to be determined at a jury trial, but it's I've settled a few lawsuits, 10,000, 12,500, and I've given most, if not all, of that money back to charity. So, and I'm proud of that.
My mom supported my show with $20. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, Mom.
Oh, it's so great. Okay. So I'm glad you brought up trespass, because it's one of the things that we harp on a lot. Cops screw up trespass so often. So I was hoping to kind of throw some knowledge towards your people to kind of understand why I think they screw that up so much. And one of the big things is there's criminal trespass warnings. That's not against the law. I mean, that's not a crime. That's a civil issue between a business or a resident and the person that they don't want on their property. Okay, you tracking, you following me? So, and then you have criminal trespass, and that's when you've been told or warned, and then you continue to stay past that warning. That's when it becomes criminal. And you will see these cops so often where they're trying to give a warning. Again, the warning is civil. And cops think because they have to fill out some damn form from their own department, which is a policy thing, that they now have a right to your ID. And they don't. Listen, officers, if you're listening to me, somebody in the chat said don't swear. You're on the wrong fucking channel. We swear. Matt doesn't swear. I swear. Banning when he gets really mad at some of these videos, then he'll curse. I wear donut shirts and try to be ironic, so I swear all the time. But anyway, so that is where cops get themselves in trouble all the time. And there is a huge ignorant blind spot that cops have where they think because they're filling out a form for their department that they now suddenly have a right to your ID. And that's one of the things that we're trying to get across. If they're not going to listen to you, Sean, who's never been charged and convicted of any criminal charges, then they need to listen to me, Matt, Banning, all these guys that are on here that are cops. It's the only way we can get across to them. Oh, did I get it? This damn fly has been in my face. We're trying to attack on both fronts. And this is where I'm getting to with bridging the gap. You're trying to educate from your side in the way that you do it. And I think it's beautiful. So let us come out and try to do our best, the way that Matt does, the way that Banning does, the way I do it, where we're trying to listen, fuckos, if you're not going to listen to this guy who's proven his record, well, listen to us. We do the same job as you. You're wrong. And they will fight me on that, saying, no, we get called out there. We're a stop and ID state. You still have to have RAS. You still need to have that articulable suspicion of a crime if you're going to ID somebody. In the state of Texas, they got to be under arrest.
Right.
So it's either under arrest or a lawful traffic stop. That's the only time I can do a mandatory ID. And even then, you still have the right to tell me to pound rocks. You're just going to get charged for it. And cops will lose their ever-loving mind because they're doing a criminal trespass warning, again, civil, and you're not giving up the ID. So we're trying to get that through to cops. So I'm hoping we can soundbite this so it can
it's such a simple concept too.
It's so easy. And it just, I don't know where it gets lost in translation, how they're not getting this. There's obviously a huge gap in training from one department to the next. Banning, you sound like you got something, buddy.
Man, I just want to thank Sean for the content that he puts out there, because I've been out of the game for a year, and even being an FTO, which is field training officer, training these guys, we would actually sit down, log into a department computer, pull up Long Island Audit, and I want to see the look on somebody getting out of the academy's face, put into the situation, and I want to hear their answers. I'd pause, and this would go into what's called a DOR, and that's an official daily observation report from an FTO to a recruit. And I was able to teach a lot just based on your content that you put out there. Man, I hope there's just as many cops across the country that are looking at this that may have not received, and I wouldn't know why they haven't received any training yet. But friggin' man, your page is awesome, and I appreciate what you do.
Yeah, I want to highlight this comment. Axe, they don't recall. Do not get us started on that idiot. We call him Joffrey on the show to reference Game of Thrones, because it is the opinion of everybody on Two Cops, One Donut that not only was he ignorant of the law and how all that stuff goes, I think, and this is, I'm speculating because I don't know what he truly thought and I don't want to get sued. He was lying, clear as day. He'd been coached. You saw that, didn't you, Matt?
Yeah, it was reprehensible. It was disgusting.
Yeah. That guy has no business in law enforcement. And if he did lie, if he was lying during that dude needs to be in jail.
Right.
There's a lot of reasons he needs to be in jail.
Yeah.
That's
now I will give the cop out. If that whole department's just so terribly trained, and that is, they all think that way. They all thought what he was saying was right, and they didn't know that. And this is a big what if. But if it was so poorly trained, okay, fire him. Don't let any of them be cops again. But does that make them criminally liable? I don't know.
I mean, I want to push back. That was clearly not just ignorant, undertrained. That was malicious. That man is a malicious human being, officer, that he has no business, in my opinion, being a law enforcement officer. I think objectively he has no business being a law enforcement officer. That was one of the worst depositions. I have a bunch of depositions that I can't show because, unfortunately, federal judges think that they put me under like a gag order, a protective order from sharing them on my channel, because they want to protect the law enforcement officers from embarrassment and annoyance. They say these words, just so we're clear, embarrassment or annoyance, which boggles my mind. Hopefully when the lawsuits are finished, I'll be able to show them. One of them's already finished and they won't let me show it still. So I have to appeal it. It costs money. It's just a whole big ordeal. But that guy, Sergeant Joffrion, he's a supervisor. I can't even. That was definitely malicious. And I will say I'm a very peaceful individual, but I've never wanted to punch somebody in their face.
Thank you.
More than I've wanted to punch Sergeant Joffrion during his deposition. It
didn't even seem real.
No, it seems like
AI.
And, okay, just to give you guys reference, a lot of you guys don't know, Banning was a city cop for a little while, but he was also a deputy in a rural area. So the dude's used to, having to wrestle cattle out of the road and all that stuff in Texas and be by himself for long periods of time, not having backup and all that stuff. But to see a person that could never afford to be a hot-tempered guy in the field because he's alone and he doesn't have backup right around the corner or any of that, to see him get mad, people in the chat were like, Banning's face is getting red. He was fuming. And to see Banning get pissed off at that dude, that speaks volumes to how punchable his face was.
Very punchable.
Right?
I did a reaction on my channel with a former prosecutor who's, on the up and up about everything. And he was like, punchable.
Yeah. See? Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. That got me so worked up. Okay. So I want to keep having these chats. Let's keep talking and doing all that stuff. Somebody's also brought up ego. I want to, Sean, and this is something maybe you can bring attention to. Now, offline, we can talk specifics, but at my department where I'm at, and you guys, I won't say where I'm at simply because I don't want to get fired again. If you guys figure it out, it's not that hard to figure out where I'm at. I've been audited before as well. So you can find the audits of me. But anyway, the point that I'm getting to, we actually now in the last 2 years, because of videos that we keep seeing of cops getting in trouble and screwing up, it's usually the ego that starts it. We have an ego class that we're teaching our recruits, and we're breaking it down, not just common sense. We're breaking it down scientifically, literally when you're thinking logically. I think the way that it goes is you're thinking with your frontal core, your frontal lobe.
Right.
But when you start to think with ego and you let your emotions take over and they get hijacked, now you're thinking with a different part of your brain. You're literally thinking with a different part of your brain. So we're trying to teach our officers when that happens, how to recognize the signs and symptoms and know when to tap out or know when to fix it if you can. Some people just get so emotionally hijacked they can't recover fast. So it's good to tap out. If Matt and I were on a call and I just seen a baby that got abused, I may get a little pissed off. And I'll be like, Matt, I can't. Like, you got to talk to him. Like, I can't talk to him on this one. I'm not there yet. And Matt's going to step in. All right, I got it, partner. But you got to know that about yourselves. Or Matt's got to see it and say, Eric, no, step back. You look like you're getting red. I don't want you to doing that. Matt, do you agree? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's infectious. I mean, I'm chilling, laid back, and I'm a professional. Then I'm going to demand it from every cop that comes on any scene that I'm at.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes from leadership, but it just comes from doing it, just being a leader by showing them, not just telling them. So yeah, it works like that, and I do that with my partners. I mean, it's happened, but usually I hold my partners know they better act right by me. So
yeah, yep. Absolutely. What do you think about that, Sean? Is that a good idea? Is that something you think?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea because I've been trying to put myself the last 4 years in the headspace of a law enforcement officer. I've never been on a call. I've never had to deal with any of the nuanced behaviors that happened. The horrific things that happen. I can only imagine that there are instances where there are pretty traumatic things that a cop has to see or be involved with that a normal everyday person doesn't. Car accidents, sexual abuse cases against minors, things of this nature, domestic violence. And it's got to take a toll on your psyche, right? On your mental health. And I think we talked about this offline, Eric, is that it's on the command staff to recognize this and the culture of the police department to accept that, hey, listen, I'm not good on this call. Like, I need to go home early. I need to do this because my head's all messed up from this last call. And not being, I could only imagine if that happened, maybe the department would say like, oh, Matt had to go home early. Did you hear Matt had to go home early? Like, what a softie or whatever, it's about the culture, the command staff. And I think it's good for people to take a break from continuing to, because the ultimate job is you guys are to enforce the law and to respect people's constitutional rights. And a law that, just to put this out there, a law that I see that's not enforced at all, basically ever, only in really high profile cases, there's a federal law for violating somebody's rights under color of law. Like, that is a criminal charge that can be levied on a law enforcement officer every single time, like against Joffrion. Why isn't he being charged federally for violating Jeff Gray's constitutional rights? So there's got to be the accountability aspect, but you got to take personal accountability of your own mental health and what's going on with you. Because again, I try, and I'm not an expert in everything. I'm definitely not an expert in law enforcement as far as the job. But I would say just be a human, recognize your faults, recognize your limitations, and go from there.
Yep. Leroy, he sent out $5 to us, man. We appreciate that. Everybody that's been supporting the show tonight, thank you. It just rolls back into the show. It doesn't go in anybody's pocket. We just use it to support what we're doing. We are not at Sean's level, so we're lucky if we get $50 a month, So, but no, we appreciate it. But I will read the chat. Leroy said, "Ego violation the police do is what causes 99%." Agreed, of these peaceful interactions that go bad. Not anybody of breaking the law. I think that's got a lot of merit to it. I do think ego, and I actually probably put out that same stat quite regularly by myself, is that 99% of you officers that keep getting yourselves in trouble, you're digging that hole yourself. You're letting your ego get in place. And when does that typically happen, Matt and Banning? The moment somebody like Sean asks a question.
Mm-hmm.
The moment.
With anybody with an ego,
or challenges their thinking, right? Or challenges what their norm, what they're used to. Hey, I'm telling you to leave. I need your ID. No, you don't. That's not a criminal charge to be warned. And they're like, what? Yeah. And then they get in their feelings. And again, I've always been told my mother always instilled this into me. Don't allow anyone to control your emotions, because then they're going to completely control you. And I don't want anybody to control me. So I try and let the officers know, listen, because a lot of them, they see me hold my camera and they're like, immediately, like, they think I'm the bad guy. They think I'm their enemy. And I tell them, you have never been assaulted by a man with a camera. I promise you that. I've been assaulted by a man in a uniform that looks very similar to yours. I've been put in handcuffs, thrown in a jail cell, mocked, humiliated, my freedom taken away from me. And even though all those things have happened, I'm not ignorant enough to think that I don't go and hold that grudge against you. So if you see somebody holding a camera, don't go and use any other prior experiences you might have had, or any type of notion that you have about these First Amendment auditors or cop watchers. Don't use that to judge the next interaction you have with somebody filming your traffic stop, filming, they say, oh, officer safety. There's never been a case, unless somebody can prove me wrong, where a man with a camera has injured a law enforcement officer on a traffic stop. It's just never happened. But I know plenty of law enforcement officers who have violated cameraman's rights and physically hurt them. So again, let's take the stats of how they are and act accordingly.
Because let's be honest, what's one of the first thing the court system's going to do when they make an argument? They're going to bring up past history.
Right.
Well, I'm right along the lines of Sean. I don't think I think, and cops hate me when I say this, but
I love you.
Civil rights violation, blatant, you should be in prison, period. We need to start making examples of these people.
There's a special place under prisons for that.
I'm sick of it.
I think people are trying to elicit an emotional response with you tonight, Sean, with the Fahey.
Oh yeah, Sergeant Brian Fahey. Oh man, what a guy! What a guy,
man.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But I do want to. Okay, hold on one second. That fly is right on my mic.
Got it.
Fuck, I missed him
Get
again.
the chopsticks out.
He's dive bombing my face, my mustache, my eyes. Drive me crazy. Okay, so I want to get to the point that I was trying to get to. Sean lies so much. Yeah, I don't think he does. I was. How dare you? That came from your page too.
Listen, I just ignore it. I don't even pay it any mind. It is what it is. Have I lied in my life? Sure. Who hasn't?
Yeah.
But again, I've been doing this 4 years, man. You could tell me anything you want to tell me. I know the only people who are important to me are the people that are in this house with me right now, and my close friends. That's the only opinions that matter, honestly. So I'm sorry to hurt your feelings if that hurts your feelings, but sorry, don't care. Don't care.
Stick with me. I'm just trying to see if I can biggie size this.
Justice for the fly.
That's not working. Is that what they're saying? Justice?
Yeah.
Okay. I got this as well as I can because it's short, so it's shown in a vertical platform. This damn fly. Let me see some ID. This fly is not listening, guys. Let me see ID. So, all right, we're gonna pull up some of Sean's videos. We'll do this one first, and then we'll discuss and kind of treat it like we do our body cam live stuff, but we're going to use Sean's material here. So make sure you guys are following. If you don't know, all credit to Sean's page. This is where we're getting it from, at Long Island Audit on his YouTube channel. So he did not give me permission to say that, but I'm doing it. So here we go.
Hands up against the wall.
Excuse me, sir?
Your hands up against the wall. You're on private property. It's the sheriff's office.
I'm not breaking any laws. Who are you?
I am the officer working here.
You're going to tell me to put my hands up against the wall?
Your boy is breathy already.
Wow.
Holy shit. This was the video I was talking about. I didn't realize I had it pulled up because full discretion, I asked some of our guys that this is the fun part about our show, Sean, is we are very interactive with the people that follow us. So I had a couple of my people, shout out to Tim and shout out to Mr. Billfold. They pulled all these videos for us today on you because they know your history better. They're actually the ones that helped us find you. So, and shout out to Vertical Lines for throwing $10 at us. He said, have you seen any of the 5-year clean meth guy? CDL was on his way to his daughter's prom. Oh, I do know what he's talking about. This guy was on his way to his daughter's prom or something like that, and he ended up getting pulled over and couldn't make it, lost his job and all that stuff. So I do know what you're talking about, sir, and if we can get to that, we will. But sorry, let me get this off the chat here. But so Sean, was that the first words they said to you?
First words that
right out the gate. Get your hands up.
Just hey, put your hands up against the wall. Like what? What?
I couldn't believe it. In what world is that okay? Like
just put your hands. Like no,
not at all. And so this is what we're trying to get across to officers, because not only are cops grossly trained, undertrained, apparently, when it comes to First Amendment audits and the Constitution and what it goes to with your First Amendment rights to record and being in public places. Screw just filming, just being in public places alone, cops are grossly undertrained. Right. So, and I don't understand, but the first words out of their mouth, and so just I want to be clear, you're on an open public parking lot. Is that the prison, the jail? What is it?
This is the Ulster Correctional Facility in upstate New York. So just for context, this is... So I came, you'll see in a second, there's some stairs right behind him to the left of him right there. I came from the parking lot, I walked down, and there's like a public charger for electric vehicles. And it says the public can use this charger. Right behind me is like a public charging station. And he says there are signs to the right of him at the beginning of the road that say authorized personnel only. Which is weird to me because there's a public charger there that has a sign that says this is open to use. You know, it would pop up on your map. I checked. It popped up on Google Maps for people to charge there. So that's a problem that they were going to address. I've already spoken to some people at the sheriff's office there. But this is open to the public. I mean, he's, again, just put your hands against the wall is your first thing you're going to tell me. Put your hands against the wall right now and not even identify yourself. Like, it's classic refusing to de-escalate.
Yeah, no, and props to you, Sean. That's some very good investigative work that you did on your side. That I know detectives that wouldn't have thought to do that when they would have went to go put a case against you. They wouldn't have checked to see if that public access electrical charging place was on the map for people to gain access.
I don't go. You'll never catch me in a restricted area. Maybe one time because I didn't see the sign. But other than that, and the cops are really cool about it. But other than that, I always make sure that there's no signage because you need to have, it's got to be like, I think a reasonable person, again, not an attorney. I think like a reasonable person should have known that it was a restricted area due to signage or some sort of fence or something like that. But I'm never in an area like that. Never.
Yeah. We read that one already, Alan. All right, let's keep going with this.
I'm not breaking any laws. You have no authority to detain me. Are you even a deputy sheriff? Are you
more manpower out to where the car could come? Right now.
More manpower? For what?
You can't be here filming.
Sorry, you seem tired after what you just did, but I'm not a threat.
All right, let's stop. That was a dick move, bro. That was a dick move. We called him out.
I never said I can't be a dick, man. I've never once said that. Never.
That wasn't a dick. That was beautiful.
And again, they always started right, hands against the wall. Now I'm pissed off now, right?
Yeah,
so,
but like I said, you always let them open the door.
Right.
He opened it.
Right.
That's exactly what Pac-Man from the movie Colors, the evil cop, and that's what he did to the kids in the neighborhood. Yeah, say like the Hands Against the Wall. That was a movie. They were trying to make him
young. Sean's too young. He don't even know what you're talking about. Oh, I remember the song. I am a nightmare walking. Bro, I loved Colors. That was great. There's an old bull and a young bull. Come on, Sean. You know that joke?
No.
I'll tell you. I can't swear. So there's an old bull and a young bull standing up on top of a hill looking down at the female cows. What do you call them, Banning? Heifers?
Heifers, yeah.
I don't know. Looking down at all the female cows, and the young calf looks at the old bull and he goes, "Hey, let's run down there and fuck one of them." And the old bull says, "Nah, son, let's walk down there and fuck them all." He goes, "Once you figure that out, you'll understand the streets." So, there's a lot of wisdom to that, right, Matt?
He's just losing his followers, man.
I know, yeah, I'm losing. I didn't make the joke up. It was on the movie. I'm quoting, fuckers. So, anyway, every single cop, fat, lazy, and stupid. Yep. Hey, come on, now, I'm in shape. Just because I'm wearing donuts, I mean I'm not in shape. I'm still in the military. I still got to pass the PT test. So
I'll answer that. Too many.
yeah, there are too many fatties. Not gonna lie. Okay, let's keep going after Sean's burn here.
No.
You're not allowed to be here. I'm telling you now, you're going to be arrested. Go up, put your hands on the wall.
I'm telling you, I'm not going to put my hands against the wall because I haven't committed a crime.
You can't be here. Being here is a crime.
No, it's
You see
not.
the sign on the way in?
There is no sign.
There's signs say this is the Law Enforcement Center.
That doesn't matter. Look at these guys running here. This is not.
I'm telling you, put your hands up against the wall.
Look at these guys.
You can hear them all heavy breathing. Trying to get there. Jesus.
We got action.
We got the guy with the
They were looking forward to that.
Jesus.
All running in.
Hands up.
I'm not
against the
breaking any
wall.
laws. I'm not.
Cannot
Don't
be
do
here.
it. Don't violate my rights.
You
There's
cannot be
no
here.
signage here. There's no signage. There is no signage. You guys need to calm down. There is no signage. Look when I walked in right here. Look where I walked.
So they don't even know. Okay, let's go police style on them, Matt and Ben.
Yep, you bet.
What path did they take? What path did our suspect take? If there's two ways to get in, Sean, was there two ways?
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
so there's two ways of access, and they're pointing out one.
Right.
Do you even know which direction he came in through?
Right.
So if you get them doubting themselves, you can tell right away. And Sean wasn't fucking playing on this one.
This is what Sean is doing right here. Is just classic resisting of an unlawful order. It was an unlawful order to put his hands on the wall, and Sean knows his stuff, and he's like, no, I don't have to. That's not lawful.
Now, Sean, I'm sure you would agree. Please know what you're talking about and you're doing when you do this stuff.
Right.
Sean's
you
about to learn some hard
educate
lessons.
yourself. That's the most important thing. Surround yourself by people who are smarter than you. Educate yourself.
Yep.
And because you don't want to give any of these law enforcement officers an opening to arrest you lawfully, and then you're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
And you're not going to beat it.
Like my authority. Yeah, and you're not gonna. That's the other part. Like, if you're gonna do this stuff, like we saw a video not too long ago of a person pressing, trying to be like a agitator protester, and they had already given the warnings, like, hey, this is turned violent. We're shutting this down. It's no longer a peaceful protest, and they gave like 15 minutes worth of warnings, and some lady comes up and just throws herself at the wall, and they just opened it up as soon as she went to jump, and then they swarmed her and arrested her. And it's like, you can't turn violent. Like, I know what your limitations are. Yes, you can protest, but the moment you start becoming violent, like, things change.
Right.
Hold on, I might have got it.
Do you get stressed out with that, Sean? Did you at first, or are you used to it now?
I've never had this many officers running at me before. This was the first incident that I've had this happen. I've had a lot of law enforcement officer presence, but not such a aggressive one, I should say. So I got a little bit excited. I'm like, this is I'm not perfect, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna get beat up. Because it's not a regular situation, and that's one of the perks of being a law enforcement officer, right? Like, you can do things that might not be lawful, and I can't defend myself, whether I can legally or not. In reality, I work in reality. That's in reality, whether it's an unlawful order, whether it's excessive force or anything like that. I defend myself physically, I'm going to get beat down to the ground, and I'm going to be charged with felonies for, putting my hands. How dare I put my hands on a law enforcement officer? That's the reality. So I know there's nothing I can do to defend myself. If a regular citizen comes up to me, I'm like, all right, man, well, I'm going to put this camera down because we're not doing this. And but with law enforcement, really nothing I could do.
Yeah, and that's it comes stampeding towards you. Look like
bro, I would have been stressed. Like, I get nervous, like, anxious for you. I'm like, oh my God, because I don't know how it's gonna go.
Oh, you should imagine my family.
Oh, think about that, dude. You're married, right?
I'm married, yeah.
Does she watch my wife doesn't watch my stuff.
No, I mean, she'll watch. She used to watch it more than she does now. She doesn't want to be stressed out. She fully supports everything that I do. But when I first went, I was like, hey, I'm going to go do this audit. I had no idea what I was doing. And I was like, I'm going to go try this out. It was during COVID. And she was like, all right, be safe. And if she would have told me no, I would have never done it. We'd never been in a Long Island audit. So appreciate her support. My family all supports me because they know who I am. They know me. So they know that I'm not malicious, then I'm not anti-law enforcement. So
Yep. Shout out to Flix Flux, said veteran rights vanish when cops learn. I'm a combat vet. Routine stops escalate fast. My service shouldn't mean fear and force. Stop discriminating. I can tell you right now, anytime I deal with a vet, it's actually relieves me. I'd rather deal with vets because I'm military. I'm still I'm still a military cop for the Air Force. I'm in security forces, so quasi-military according to Banning because he was a Marine. So, but problem is some cops think everything they say is a lawful order. You're damn right. Some of them do.
they
And
think everything that comes out of their mouth
Yeah.
is a lawful order because
Yeah.
it's coming from
Give
a
me a
law
lawful order.
enforcement officer.
Sean's
I'm
like,
giving
are
you a
you?
lawful order. Are you? No,
Are
I don't think you are. I would just be like, no, you're not.
I don't think that word means what you think it means.
Yeah.
I held on to this comment. I wanted to read it because it was a really good one. Sammy Rodriguez said, Sergeant Eric Levine, the problem is that it takes a lot of white paint to make black paint fade away, meaning the system's already corrupted and the agencies are already comfortable with protection that they are getting from the top of the the enforcement agencies. And that will take lots of years to fix. My blood really boils watching the tyranny that I see from law enforcement agencies. And this is the reason why lots of people hate cops. I'm with you. I understand. And that's one of the things I even talked with Sean about this offline. One of the things that I try to do specifically with my show and what we do on Two Cops, One Donut is I share good stuff too. I think it's important because if all you create is an echo chamber for cops doing bad, or all you share is an echo chamber for cops doing good, you're really missing the ability to help fix things. And that's what Sean does. And that's why I like what Sean does so much is he will show when cops do good. And he'll even say this cop passed or whatever and give them credit for when they do that. He even goes out and trains police departments that realize they're either not doing very well or maybe they're doing good and they want to know how they can get better. And Sean goes out and talks at those places. Sean, what's your experience been doing that?
So, the first ever department was at Detective Sergeant Michael Bannock. He invited me. He's the head of internal affairs at the Hubbard Police Department, and he invited me out. He saw the video of Sergeant Brian Fahey, and he invited me out to his department to have a conversation, do a co-training with him to his entire department. It was a small department, but it was good meeting a lot of those individuals there, and we had good conversations, and we really focused on like humanizing everybody in the situation. Like there was a lot of people there that didn't support didn't support me, and but after we had the conversation, they're like, wait a minute. And again, it's about, somebody said in the chat earlier, critical thinking, nuance. These are important terms to have as a human being, to realize what's going on in our country and to critically analyze every single situation. That was the first time that I spoke. And then I did another one. I attended a command staff meeting in North Bergen, New Jersey. Did ride-alongs at both departments, got to sit in the passenger seat, had a good conversation with the law enforcement officer I was paired up with. And then more recently at a district attorney's office, which was interesting, but it goes well. We all get along because I'm a nice guy. A lot of these officers that hate me, they have a different perception of me than what's actual reality. They just think that I'm trying to expose bad law, for which I am, but that's all I care about. And it's one of the most important things I care about because it's really important. I'm not, highlighting every cop that saves a cat from a tree. There's the mainstream media for that, right? You guys get a lot of praise, and when you guys do heroic things, you guys get a lot of praise in the media. Your local media cop saves somebody from a fire or something like that, and you should be commended for that. But when we're talking about this offline, like I don't think that all law enforcement officers should be labeled as heroes.
Self-proclaimed.
Right, because it's cheapening the word of hero. Hero is somebody who's defined by their actions, not by their profession, not by a uniform that they wear. So can law enforcement officers be heroes? Sure.
But just signing up and putting the uniform on.
Yeah, just signing your name on the dotted line and going out and writing people tickets, I don't think that makes you a hero.
Wow. Yep. I get a lot of hate mail when I say that, man. That triggers so many people.
I'm sure it does, because they want to
don't call me a hero.
Who doesn't want to be a hero? People call me a hero all the time. I don't think I'm a hero. I try and be as humble as possible because ego is so dangerous. I understand. I see it in cops every day. I see it all the time when I go to these facilities, when I go to these departments, and I don't want to be caught up in that. it is something that, if you let it get to your head, it's going to be a problem. So I try and remain, hey, I'm not a hero, man. I'm just doing my job.
Yep. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat. I'm letting my guys know in the background that I'm just looking at the chats that they star.
I think there should be a good seasoned auditor in every single police academy in this country, in every class to teach. I mean, you guys
Yeah.
teach a lot better than most of these instructors.
I honestly, don't sue us, but I think we use some of your videos in our academy.
Mm-hmm. They've used my videos. I've gotten somebody has said somebody sent me an email that they were, I'm not going to say their name or anything, but they emailed me privately and they said, hey, I'm in the NYPD Academy, and one of the sergeants played one of your videos and they were saying how you're the biggest asshole. And I was like, well, I mean, they're using it as propaganda.
In the academy, they said that.
Yeah.
Think about that. They're using this sergeant was using my videos and saying this guy's an asshole. They're training them from right the beginning to hate people with a camera. So I'm like, wow. He's like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, listen, at least I appreciate you're in the class and that you understand that that's total bullshit, and that just disregard that, because it's incredible. It's crazy.
Finally, that's disgusting. Oh my god!
But well, the problem that, Sean, that you may not be aware of, and this may give some insight to the people listening, what that one instructor is teaching, the next instructor that's teaching another line, because like NYPD, they're teaching multiple academy classes at a time. So let's say it's class 145 and that sergeant's teaching, but another sergeant's teaching class 146 at the same time. That sergeant may be showing your stuff and saying, look how this is how you handle it. Like, look how he's doing this. He's right. Talking about all the good. And that is the disparity in training in that we face, is that what one instructor wants to teach, where's the consistency? We don't have that continuity and consistency in training, even at the same department. Has that been your experience, Banning and Matt? Mm-hmm. That you'll get training from one FTO and then the next FTO tells you the exact opposite.
Yep.
Yeah, but the disparity is, I guess you're right. It happens.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, well, this guy told me to do this, and you're like, no, don't do that. And what's the thing that every FTO, and this is, I'm generalizing, but what's FTO say as soon as you get out of the academy? Don't listen to anything they taught you in the academy.
Yeah. It is a lot of changeover. However, I will say that, like, making a statement like that about illegal activity, I mean, that's about as reprehensible as any false teacher that you could think of. That's disgusting.
And what I heard a lot when I first got, and I'm old, man. I got into this in 2002, and friggin' I used to hear FTOs tell me and tell other new guys, do as I say, not as I do, and that makes the hairs on the back of my neck stick up. Now, I didn't see anything illegal. But it's the fact, don't even put that into a mind of a new law enforcement officer. Do as I say, not as I do. Well, what are they thinking now going down the road, riding next to this experienced guy? It just pisses me off.
Yeah.
Where's the honor in that? Where's the valor? Where's the the integrity? Like that's it's too much of that.
I want to address this comment from Michael Prusak. He said, you will always be remembered for your billboard truck. Can you go into what we're talking about here?
That was wonderful.
All right. So I had rented an LED billboard truck, a huge 14-foot billboard truck, to protest. I was unlawfully arrested in Nassau County, New York. The police commissioner there, Patrick Psycho Writer, and I call him Psycho not because I made that nickname for him. That's his friends gave him that nickname. Apparently, he used to jump out of trees and stuff when he was. He's been arrested multiple times. Police brutality, perjury, official misconduct, you name it. And he apparently allegedly uses, asset forfeiture in a way that is really bad. I mean, it must be. He won't give me till this day, 2 years later, he won't give me the copies of the asset forfeiture. But anyway, I wanted to expose him for his. It's like a little plot. It's so crazy, the politics and all the minutia of what's going on, that the police commissioner is telling these officers, and they'll say right on body camera, I'm just following orders, man. Like I don't know. Like, and while they had the body cameras, for me particularly, while I'm sitting in the cell, they put a body camera right in front of the cell. And one of the officers came in and he didn't know that the body camera was on. He was like, hey man, can I get your autograph? And then they were like, the body camera. And I'm sure he got in trouble for that one.
So what?
Yeah, no, but no.
Yeah.
You don't know the commissioner. He's a bad guy. But I put a billboard truck. I rode it around in front of the Nassau County building. Then I took it around the block where Patrick Ryder resides, and like 15 officers showed up. I wasn't arrested or anything. I think they just patted me down or whatever. But another thing we should talk about is, a Terry stop. I don't think officers really know. I think they think they could just pat everybody down that they want to, and that's not the way the law works.
No.
But anyway, because they say Terry stop, boom, boom, frisking you.
You have to have suspicion of something.
That they have a weapon, right?
Yeah.
You can't just go tap in everybody's pockets. But anyway, I rented the billboard truck. The Nassau County District Attorney office and the Nassau County Police Department, they are very close and they work hand in hand, as you would imagine, but they work hand in hand in their tyranny and their corruption as well. So they sent out these subpoenas to the billboard truck company. They got the license plate. They sent out these subpoenas asking for all this information. And the billboard truck company got really spooked because they were like, hey, man, we're not trying to mess around with the district attorney's office. I understand. And they're like, we appreciate your business, but we're not going to be able to rent you a truck anymore. So I went and raised some money, took out some loans myself, and I bought an LED billboard truck of my own so this doesn't happen again. And now I own a 14-foot LED billboard truck, and it's been great. I love it. It's one of my best purchases of my life. I love that truck, man.
We call that a gangster move. I love it. I love it.
Dude, that is.
It wasn't an easy move. I'll tell you that, man. That thing hurt. It was a lot of money.
I bet it was.
Oh my gosh.
I'm trying to find a photo of it so we can share it. I'm not. It's all videos that I'm pulling up. So, but okay. Let's. Before we get to your video, I want to get to this comment right here because it's for you, Sean. Damn it. It says, Sean, what made you pick up the camera to record your first interaction?
So basically I think I already said this, but I'll just say really quick. I watched a lot of First Amendment auditing content. I watch a lot of like law enforcement content, not necessarily against law enforcement. I think law enforcement interactions are interesting, the dynamic. And I used to watch a lot of First Amendment auditing content. Jeff Gray, just to name one, he's been, the best at doing it, I think. And I was like, I think I could do this a little bit differently than everybody else. There's not anybody doing it on Long Island area. So I decided to just pick up the camera and go. I was furloughed from my job. I was a logistics director for a cosmetic manufacturing company. And so I had time on my hands. I picked up the camera and I went there and I uploaded it to TikTok, not even YouTube. I didn't have a YouTube channel yet. And I got like 4 million views on TikTok. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And I just kept doing it. I was like, I'm going to keep going to these departments and seeing what they're going to do for a man exercising his rights. And I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to, be peaceful. I'm not going to raise my voice. I'm not going to try and obstruct anything. I'm going to do it the way that I want to do it. And I think people really, because there's a lot of auditors out there and activists that they allow their emotions to control them. And they, maybe because of their past law enforcement experiences and what we've seen. A lot of these things anger me too, but, I try and remain peaceful and calm because that's what's going to, make the interaction go as smooth as possible. I'm also trying to get home to my family. And I just kept going and I wasn't making any money. I made $7 my first month on YouTube. And, it wasn't I didn't think of it as like a career or anything like that. And speaking of money, I just want to touch on this really quick. It has turned into a career for me. I don't charge for these trainings. I've never taken any money from any law enforcement agency to do any trainings or the district attorney's office. But I do make money on YouTube through social media, through ads, just like and I explain this to court all the time, just like any news outlet. Any news outlet makes money on ads. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. We'll be right back after this commercial break, right? That's how it works. But they always say, you're just doing this for money. It's like, what do you do? What do you like? Are you doing your job for money? Like, they always try and discredit me and say like, oh, you're just trying to make money. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to make money, but I'm doing something that I love. Are you jealous? Like, I don't get it. I love
the American dream, baby. Yes.
Right.
That's on.
I know. Is capitalism a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know.
Right. And the thing is, it's just like what we're doing. Like, there's not a lot of cops that do what we do. And Matt and Banning will both tell you, we get shit from a lot of cops because of what we do. And
I can only imagine.
I don't care. I don't care because I'm going based on my heart. It's really why I do what I do. I just let my heart lead the way. And Matt's the same way. Matt and I are brothers, two different brothers from another mother. And I got him on here because of that. And when we watch the stuff that you do and people are going to give you crap for getting paid for it, you either believe in the mission or you don't. And it's the same for what we got going on. It's not that we're out here to try to make money, but if we want the mission to shine and do better and improve, well, it takes money to do that. And like what you're doing, like you are bringing great awareness. I will tell you straight up, one of the reasons I love what you do is because you have helped create better training for cops. Whether you meant to or not, you've created better training for police officers. So that's one of the reasons why we love showing your stuff, because you take the time to not just buck against the system in a sense, in a good way, but you educate as you're doing it. Like even in this video that we still haven't got all the way through, I'll pull that back up. Like you get to the points that people need to know and need to hear. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring that video back up so we can continue watching it. Where did it go? There it is. All right, let's hit play. Banning kind of disappeared. I don't know if he's trying to get back in. There he is. Banning, did you get booted for a second?
Yeah, I watched y'all fine. My little icon went away. It didn't say I lost internet or anything. I don't
Got
know.
that country internet out there. That's the problem.
That's right.
Let's go.
Then with the stairs. Don't touch me.
Signage by the stairs.
No, there is not. No, there is not. There is no signage.
So many cops.
Excuse me, sir.
Hands up against the wall. You're on private property. It's the sheriff's office.
I'm not
Who are
breaking
you?
any laws. Who are you?
I am the officer working here.
You're going to tell me to put my hands up.
What's that?
It just re-looped. This is the same thing we just watched.
Oh.
But
We already got through it. Yeah.
It's always interesting that a lot of cops, it's a short video, but as long as a lot of cops, they always say like, this is private property. Like, how do you not know the difference between private property and public property? Like, it just seems like such a simple concept to me. It's like, again, I always say the biggest problems in law enforcement is the lack of accountability, ego, and the lack of proper training. Those are the three biggest problems. If we can try and tackle those three problems, law enforcement will be a better profession, have a higher standard of a law enforcement officer, and we wouldn't have these problems.
Yep.
The huge thing about what you just said is it takes cops saying that out loud.
All right.
Yeah.
In accordance. So that's why I think
that's why I appreciate you guys, man. This is why I'm restreaming this on my channel. I think it's important. I appreciate you guys. Matt, I brought you on the channel. You got to come on again, man. But I brought you on the channel. I think you were the first law enforcement officer to come on my channel, if I'm not mistaken.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, I'm honored. I cut so much out for that.
It was a while ago. It was like what, like 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, about 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
The only way we're going to help fix things.
Yeah.
It has to be both sides. You have to. I don't know what it is. It's no different than when you try to. Like, for me, if I try to tell my wife, she's like, "I need to lose a few pounds." I'm like, "Well, cut this part out of your diet that will help you," or drink some more water, whatever it is. She'll get the same advice from a girlfriend or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to do this." I'm like, "I told you that a long time ago." So it's the same thing with this. Sean's out there telling you what you need to hear, and what gives that credibility? How many criminal charges have been sustained?
11.
Yeah, and none of them stuck. So I go back to that. That gives him his credibility. Now, if they're not going to listen to that, listen to Matt, listen to me, listen to Banning, listen to the slew of other officers that we have on here.
There's a lot. I got to tell people, a lot of people, say like, all cops are bad and things like that. And, we can debate whether it's the culture, whether it's the system itself. And there's a lot of different nuanced topics that we could talk about. But from my personal experience, I have to, I got to speak the truth. It's like I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of law enforcement officers email me over the course of the last 4 years. Again, spoken at police departments, spoken at district attorney's office. The district attorney's office I just spoke at was in the same area. I don't know if you remember this, Matt, Pooler, Georgia, where the police chief, Ashley Brown, he told me, get out of the parking lot. You can't be here. Where's your press badge? I'm the police chief. It was in Pooler, Georgia. It was, my viral video that the news station covered it, and they posted my video. They're like, "Hey, can we post your video?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." They posted my video, and it's got more views than my video on my channel. It's got like 7 million. I'm like, I just made a whole bag for the news department,
Right.
for the local news channel. They made like $40,000 off of 7 million views or something like that, 8 million views. But it was cool. At the end of the day, I just wanted to that they work with that department, and that police chief is still there, and he definitely hates me. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And they still invited me to go speak there and put it on camera for the world to see. To me, that's integrity. That's integrity. And they were willing to pay me and everything. And I said, I don't want any money. I'll pay for my own way. It's fine. I appreciate the opportunity. I don't want people to think, I have no problem with people taking money to speak at speaking engagements. Again, capitalism, make them all the money you can. But I make enough money on my social media platforms that I don't, let's be honest, public agencies don't pay that much anyway. So it's not like I'm turning down a hefty amount of money. So, I just don't want to take from their budget. I don't want to take any taxpayer money that way. I think it's like my way of thanking that department or that agency for saying, let's work with somebody that we might not 100% agree with, or there's people here on our staff that don't agree with him. And it might give us some backlash, but I think at the end of it, the way I tell law enforcement agencies when I speak to them, I'm like, it's good publicity for you. Why you see the camera in my hand? Why not? Like, if you're acting this bad on camera, I can only imagine what you're doing when the camera's not rolling.
Matt makes that point all the time.
It's your time to shine.
Right. Yep. You see the camera. It's not like it's some hidden button camera or something, or my glasses. You see the camera in my hand, and you're still acting like a dick.
Yeah.
And you're still
what you do.
Yep. Somebody was pointing out my shirt. I just want to give a shout out because it's actually one of our sponsors. So shout out to Retro Rifle. Check out their shirts. Now, guys, what you can't see is the sprinkles on my shirt. They're bullets. So it's kind of one of the cool things about Retro Rifle is they hide guns all over their stuff. Alan, one of our guys behind the scenes, he's wearing one. Looks like he's wearing one of the dinosaur shirts. But yeah, they make Hawaiian shirts that have guns hidden all over them. So if you're a pro 2A person, I would imagine, Sean, you being so pro 1A that you would respect the 2A as well.
Of course, all constitutional rights.
Yeah, brother.
All constitutional rights, 14th Amendment, due process, every single constitutional right. This is America. If you can't respect the Constitution, I don't know what we're doing here. That's the whole point. We need to, I don't get it.
I'm with you. And I think if we're going to make Matt and Banning, if we're going to get Sean to step up his game, I mean, he's been doing 1A, fine. I think he needs to combine 1 and 2.
All right. I don't want to get shot.
Bring a bazooka around
the camera. The camera of mass destruction.
Yeah. Okay. I retract that because he's a treasure to this nation. I don't either, so, yeah. Shout out to Retro Rifle, guys. Check them out. Go to their website.
Very cool.
Get you a cool shirt. But yeah, let's. Matt, I didn't want to press you too long, so.
I'll text him. I got a little bit more time.
You got more time? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'll text Tony.
Yeah, I knew you were a little time
How
constrained.
long do you guys usually go?
Bro, we just go.
I know.
We just go. Yeah, it literally normally we go about an hour and a half, 2 hours, but
okay.
It's based on the crowd. We're really here for them, and we're trying to answer their questions as we go and give them a chance. But with you on here, like, there's a lot of people.
We got the national treasure on tonight.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody loves you, brother. So we want to make sure you get all the attention and answer the questions to your fans and the people from ours that may want to chat with you. But I also try.
I just want to say really quickly. Sorry, I just want to say I can't see any super chats from my channel, and I've received a bunch. And I just want to just mention them because I think it's rude if I don't. Lynn Harris, thank you so much. Maury, thanks for the memberships. Snicholas, thank you so much. And that's it. There you go.
Yep. Damn it. Slow your roll. Let me get. I was trying to read this one.
There you go.
Snicholas 110. He said you should try to get each police department that has arrested you to do a training or partner with someone that does training. It would be a big FU to those officers' egos when you walk in and explain constitutional rights. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool.
We need Matt to go over into every department and train every department, and I think that'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I'm down.
That'd be a dream of mine.
I'll go with you. I was an academy instructor, man, and this is one of the things that I've been trying.
When I went down to Savannah,
go ahead.
When I went down to Savannah, I brought my attorney, the former prosecutor, Jacob Uriel, and he did it for free as well. He just, again, I'm not saying there can't be any money in it. Maybe there is money in it that, you guys have to set aside money for training, right? Training purposes. I mean, that's the whole point. And I think it would be good to have somebody with, the right mindset. I've seen a training that happened in Florida where they were like, the people are the enemy. It was like a pretty scary type of thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was I got to look it up. It was, I don't know what part of Florida, but it was some part of Florida that they did some training, and I was like, whoa. And it leaked like the video of the training. And it was basically just like, that people are the enemy. Your only job is to go home safe to your family, F everyone else, like craziness. And I'm like, wow.
I'll fully admit that is the mantra in policing, to go home to your family. And I don't disagree with that necessarily, because there's plenty of examples of cops getting ambushed, attacked, shot at. I mean, look what just happened in Idaho. Firefighters. Everybody loves firefighters, and they had, they're out there trying to fight a wildfire in Idaho, and they're getting sniped. It was set up. So I'm like, damn. And they shot, people responding to that. So I'm like, yeah, you should go home safe, but not at the expense of violating somebody's rights.
Right.
Like,
no, for sure. Right. Listen, we talk about officer safety. Like I've talked about it a lot on my channel. I hear it a lot. It's talked about a lot. And the reason why it really matters to me in a legal context is that it's used a lot to hamper our constitutional rights. Officer safety is used to hamper and limit our rights. And I think that's a problem. Officer safety, everybody's supposed to be safe. Everybody wants everybody safe. Let's all be safe. I mean, I want officers to be safe. I want, the members of the public to be safe. Again, if you just look at it objectively, statistically, officers are killing people more than people are killing officers, whether that's, there's nuance there again. Nuance. That's the word of the day. But again, officer safety, I think that, the Pennsylvania v. Mims is a horrible decision personally, only because what do you
too vague.
It's too vague. Like, just step out of the car. How many times has an officer told somebody to step out of the car and it made the situation more dangerous for the officer because they tell him to step out of the car?
How many times have they done it just because their egos, their feelings were hurt?
Right. Just, hey, step out of the car. Why? Because I said so. Yeah. Has nothing to do. They're not using it for officer safety. They're just doing it because they can. And that's why we came up with Attorney Shield too. It's one of the companies that I'm a co-founder of. And I've seen so many videos of people getting their windows busted, dragged out of the car, tased, all because maybe they had a broken taillight, but because the officer told them to get out the car and they're like, I'm not getting out of the car. They don't know that this case law exists. And which I don't blame people. There's a lot of cops that don't know the law, case law. So, they don't know, and then they get their window broken and they get put in the, they get taken to jail and they have their rights violated. That's why it's partnered with Lackluster. You see Lackluster's logo right there. That's it's my guy right there, Lackluster. He's a shout out to Lackluster.
Good dude.
Yeah, good dude. We've highlighted his
Great
video
guy.
on here before. And I wanted to shout out to Ben. Thank you for the $5. He said we need more chats like this. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm glad you guys are kind of getting the point of what we're trying to do.
100%.
Appreciate that. And then there was another one. We had a $50 donation, which was amazing. I want to highlight Lynn Harris Graylin. And she said, "Hi, Sean. Thank you for protecting my rights and for all the hard work and sacrifices. Love and respect from Florida."
Thank you, Lynn.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
And then this was a good question. Mr. Perlove11 said, question for the cops. Has there been a time in your profession that afterwards you said you didn't make the right decision? I will tell you, yes, for me. There's been times that I've arrested the male during a domestic and come to find out he was set up. And I had just went with dude, guys, I felt for the guys can usually do the most damage, and I just took him because I didn't want to dig far enough like I should have. I was young. I had not had much experience in dealing with people's relationship issues. I mean, how much does a 20-year-old really have to deal with somebody else's, 15-year developing relationship issues? So I ended up taking the guy, and it turns out that the female was the aggressor, and she was setting him up for trying to get child support and stuff like that. But what about you, Matt?
I mean, there's different variables. I mean, you're always, if you're presented, you got to go off the information you're presented at the time. Mm-hmm. And there's been times where I go back, you learn something different.
Yeah.
Some witness comes forward, okay, maybe that was, but it's always in good faith. And I've
Yeah,
never.
I guess I should say that it wasn't like anything malicious. I wasn't like intentionally fucking up. It just I learned a lot. The more I went, and I screwed up. I've screwed up a lot. Like I've made some dumb decisions. Like
Who has
chasing a car. I'm right on his butt. He took off. He went down a ramp. I was done. Like I couldn't stay with him because I was too close. And then afterwards I'm kicking myself because the guy ends up committing 2 robberies later on. You're like, damn, if I knew better and backed off and didn't chase so hard, like I could have maybe stayed with him. And so yeah, tons of regrets in this career. It sucks, man. But all with a good heart. I'll say that. I've always had a good heart about the stuff that I've done. Banning you?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely can't walk on water with my decisions, and I've learned from my decisions and in training in the beginning. And I'm sure I've made other decisions, that could have been done better that I don't even know about. But I take everything with a grain of salt. You've got to become better each and every day, especially if you have that badge on. And we do have a broken chain link. And I'm not blaming the academies, but I believe the academies need to be a lot better at fixing this problem at hand. I mean, that's where it's coming from. But a big problem.
Sorry, I don't know where it was coming from either.
A big problem in the academies of not getting that knowledge to these recruits before they get out there. I mean, the First Amendment auditors, Sean could probably answer this the best. I don't even know when the first successful First Amendment auditor was out there, but that started changing the game right there for law enforcement that truly wanted to go out there and, pardon the term, of serve and protect. It's exposing the problem that is out there. Not even all law enforcement knew that problem was going on, but it made them go, we need to fix this. What are we doing to screw things up? And that's why I love the fact that these successful First Amendment auditors go out there. They're exposing a problem, and I know it's more than the First Amendment, but kudos to guys like Sean and others that are doing that, especially the ones that have taken this as a career. That's a bold move, just like it's a bold move to go in law enforcement. You better bring 100% of your heart and your brain into this if you're going to get into it, just like if you're going to do it as a First Amendment auditor, because it's got to be just watching that video of you and all those corrections officers or deputies or whatever the hell they were running out at you. I'm a big guy. I'm approaching 300 pounds. I'm over 6 feet tall. If I had that many,
he's big,
running at me, being a cop for 21 years, I'm probably going to start stuttering. And everything. Like, are they about to shoot? Are they about to beat me with a baton?
Getting some connection issues with you, Banning. Go ahead, Matt.
How do we audit the academies? Who's in charge of making sure that they're teaching the right things? Because stuff that calling Sean an a-hole in the academy, like that's just I can't stop thinking about that. You're leading how many astray by doing that? He's doing a legal activity like that. How do we audit them? Is that the DOJ? Is that someone? Does anybody know?
I guess it would depend on each agency, right? There's got to be that's why it's hard, because there's not a lot of oversight when it comes to law enforcement. There's a lot of critics, there's a lot of people who are commenting, but there's not a lot of oversight. And a lot of the times it's always dependent on the police chief. If you have a good police chief, you have a good culture of the department. I've seen firsthand where that department will respond in such a better way. Smaller departments tend to, depending on the location and again, their culture and their police chief, tend to do better on audits than a larger department with much more resources. Hubbard Police Department is a great department. They were the first in the whole country. I've never seen an auditor, if there was, I don't know of them, but I've never seen an auditor work with a police department in a training recorded before the Hubbard Police Department. And that's a police department of 50 officers. So it's a small police department, but they had the courage to say, hey, we want to work with you. We want to collaborate. And it opened up, I believe that video has 500,000 views on it. It has opened up so many doors, not to myself in order to go to speak at different agencies, but it was such a bold move that I really appreciate it. Detective Sergeant Michael Bannick to this day is a dear friend of mine. He's a great guy, great moral character. I've met his wife. We've went out to dinner. These are people that I truly hold close to me. And people would think, a lot of these ignorant people who just see my videos on clips, or like they don't see the whole context, they don't know what I'm about. They'll be like, you hate the police. Some of my closest friends are law enforcement officers, so attorneys, district attorneys. These are people, I love people who are willing to learn, and we can grow together and we can have good conversations. Eric, we had a conversation for 2 hours on the phone.
2 hours, y'all. I'm not joking. We talked for 2 fucking hours.
Yeah, it was a long conversation. Yeah,
I'm just
but again,
spooning this
it was
or
a good
ruining the whole
conversation.
time.
When you have a good conversation, it doesn't feel like 2 hours. So
No, not at all.
it doesn't feel like 2 hours. So it was good. And my whole point is to bridge the gap, educate, bring awareness to it. I'm not here to, advocate for, getting rid of law enforcement. That would be, again, these are such ignorant concepts, in my opinion. They're such ignorant concepts. We need law and order in the country. Somebody breaks into your house, somebody does this, somebody steals your car. How are you going to find the guy who stole your car? You're going to call law enforcement, right? I have no, somebody had stolen my car a year or two ago. I had to call law enforcement. I don't, I have
guys in Flint. If I would have called them, they'd be like, "Give us a half hour. We'll figure out who took it."
Yeah, no, they never did, and they never care. I knew they weren't going to. I just wrote a statement. I said, "Here you go. Here it is. I need this for insurance. I know you guys aren't going to do it." Like, because my local law enforcement, we have like a love-hate relationship. Like they were my first video here, Suffolk County Police Department, and they are really
Suffolk County, the big red patches, right?
Yeah, big red patches. They're one of the highest paid police departments in the country. I think I looked up their salaries just a year ago, and the highest guy was getting like 400,000, 300, 250. They're getting a lot of money, man. They're getting a lot of money.
What's the cost of living?
Yeah, I mean, it's expensive out here. It is expensive, but I don't know any professions other than law enforcement that pay that well. Maybe something in the medical field. I don't know, but and he was just like a sergeant or something. It wasn't even anything crazy. I remember I was like, wow, 400 grand a year. That's pretty crazy. Like, isn't that what the president makes? Like,
yeah,
it was wild to me. But yeah, they get paid pretty good, especially Nassau and Suffolk. They have huge budgets. Nassau County and again, this is why it's dangerous when you have a high. This guy, the police commissioner, Patrick Psycho Ryder, he has this budget, billions of. He has a facility, a 35,000 square foot facility, an intelligence facility. Like what? Like it's Nassau County. Like you needed a 35,000 square foot intelligence facility. Like what are you even doing there? And he's the guy. If you're not familiar, he sent over. They got a bogus warrant from a judge for criminal trespassing. Again, bad faith. Totally wrong. And I have a lot of sources in that department, and he hates that. I know all of his little meetings that he has, everything that he does. But because people really respect what I do, and they want to come out and say something, but they're terrified of this guy. He has a lot of power. He's trying to kill people before. This guy's an insane, a police commissioner, one of the highest funded, highest paid, most powerful police departments in the country. Wow. And it's insane. He sent 2 masked men. I'm driving home from 7-Eleven. And I see this Honda Civic. It was like a 1995 Honda Civic. And it goes to pull right in front of me and hit me. And I pull out of the way. I go in my neighbor's yard, and I keep going to my house, and I run into my house. I was like, what's going on here? Then 2 masked guys get out of the car. And this 1995 Honda Civic, no lights. And they run up, and they see they were like barely masked. And then they see my security cameras. And then they put up the mask all the way up to there. It was a Friday night. What I was told through my sources is he sent these guys across county lines, didn't even notify on a low-level misdemeanor warrant. You guys are cops. Do you send masked men in unmarked vehicles across county lines for a low-level misdemeanor warrant? No, you don't.
I'm gonna look immediately. I'm gonna say, what's he wanted for? I'm gonna look at the warrant.
Criminal trespass.
I'm gonna go. That's next.
How many guys ended up showing up there that day?
There was 2 of them, and then eventually, again, I got sources in a bunch of departments. They didn't even let the Suffolk County Police Department know I own a rental property, and they were literally, they pulled over one of my tenants thinking it was me for no reason. He didn't do anything wrong. Pulled him over. Again, these are Nassau County cops making traffic stops in Suffolk County with masks, it's like his goon squad that he has, and that's how you know they were wrong. They left. They ended up leaving, and they didn't break the door. They didn't do anything. They ended up leaving, and they never came back. They left and never came back. If the warrant, I was already had an open case with them. I had an attorney. They knew who I was. Obviously, they knew who I am. They could have said, hey, we have another warrant for you. for X, Y, and Z, schedule a time to turn yourself in. No, but the whole point of what they did was to try and intimidate me and my family. My family was terrified. Imagine my wife seeing two masked men just in regular clothes, just masked up, look like any sort of criminal in front of our house, looking for me. No badge, no nothing, no lights or sirens, anything. My wife was terrified, and it's because they wanted to arrest me on Friday, so I had to sit for the weekend, and it was to punish me for going against, and talking about him or whatever. And it just all they do is just make it worse and worse for themselves, and make me want to continue to expose whatever it is that they're trying to hide, because he has a lot to hide, that guy. And again, I've never heard of anything like it, on a this is, when I'm telling you a misdemeanor warrant, I'm telling like a class C in New York State. Like, it is a low level misdemeanor warrant. Like, you're not going across county lines for that warrant unless
right. You're not going across city lines. You're not
going across the street for that.
Right. I just don't have time. Okay. We got a lot of questions saved up here. So let's knock down some of those. Right before we do, guys, I just want to put it out there for our guys, and then everybody else that's attached to this. Matt banning me, a whole slew of people. We're hoping, we haven't pitched it to Sean yet, and I don't want to put him on the spot, but we're hoping we can get him involved as well. We got something out there. It's a new network that we're trying to do where we highlight exactly what we're doing. Matt himself is going to we're going to get Matt his own show where he talks about these tough discussions and stuff like that. We plan to have Sean on that. We plan to have a lot of Matt's actually got good connections with, former felons that have, turned their life around and stuff like that, or have been treated wrong by the system. So
I know my father's business, right?
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
So I love it. You're doing
we
God's
plan
work.
we plan on getting shows and stuff. We got big plans for this, and it's all coming through DTV. It's brand new. We're getting this going. We got Matt on board. We got a big pocket of people of cops from all around the nation involved in this, along with community leaders and stuff like that, through, like what I said, what Matt's got going on, what I've got going on. This is not a cop echo chamber. That's the exact opposite of what we want. We want exactly what we're doing on the show right now. We just want to have more people be the voice of it, other than me. I don't need to be the voice of it. Matt can be a voice. Banning can be a voice. We want to share that, and we want to have these tough conversations all across the way. And DTV is where we're getting that started. So if you guys get the chance and you want to support, just log in, join, follow what we got going on. I think we got some exciting things. Matt, you pretty excited about that?
Yeah, I booked my first podcast sit down with in 2 weeks.
Did you? Nice.
Yep, I got the studio and everything. Yep.
Oh, look at you.
Right in the middle of the city. I got Oscar's my first guest.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Love it. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So, okay. Now, before we get to that, let me get to some of these questions, because I know people have been asking. Let me get to this one, because he's popped it up like 8 times. Scar, it's policy to shave. Why don't you shave? Listen, it's not policy to shave where I'm at. I'm allowed to have a beard, and I'm going to have a beard because I've never been able to have one up until
policy.
Yeah, they lifted that policy maybe 4 years ago, and I'm trying to look my best Yellowstone I can look. We wear cowboy hats where I'm at, so
it's silly to worry about those things.
I know. And now, to be fair, I'm still in the military, so once a year I do have to shave for 24 days, and I look like
You look so ridiculous.
I do. These guys razzed me so bad.
You look so harmless.
Good. I should look harmless, sir. Teddy bear. So, let me see. Sean, this one's for you. Rightzilla says, Sean, do you ever plan to stop, or will you do this as long as you can?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know exactly. I don't have I'm taking a day to day. I have a very busy family life, personal life. I just take a day to day, and obviously I'm going to do this for as long as I can. I don't know how long it does take a lot out of me. It's a lot of traveling. It's a lot of being by myself, and I miss my family. I'm traveling around the whole country. I've been from everywhere from Hawaii, California, New York, Florida, and everywhere in between, Louisiana, Texas. I haven't been to certain areas of Texas, but I've been to San Antonio. At the end of the day, I'm going to do it for as long as I can. I love doing what I do. I love, the excitement of it. It's very exciting to, be able to educate people, but I might eventually switch over to more like a lackluster style where I just, review videos, help future auditors, homework craft.
That would be awesome.
That'd be cool.
Maybe do some sort of training for auditors. There's a lot of things I can work on. I also would love to get into, not anytime soon, but I would love to get into public service. I would love to, that my town here is horrible, and maybe a town supervisor, county executive, something like that, utilize the amount of support and name recognition that I have in order to help the people from inside the government. And, film my entire day as a county executive, as a town supervisor, where you could see minute by minute, hour by hour of my entire day, what I'm doing. No other politician would ever do that. No, they don't want you to see when they're just not doing anything for hours or days at a time. I want to go there and say, hey, what do you guys do? What does a town supervisor do? You get paid $150K a year. How are you making the residents' lives better? I don't know how he makes my life better. And I've gone to meetings. I've talked to him. I don't know what he does. So I maybe public service one day, hopefully. And, hopefully, people, my attorney's like, you got to be the governor of New York. Oh, we'll see. Well, let me work my way up there. I think that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be fun. Super chat, $5 donation. Thank you very much. Said, X-Man said, been watching your videos since I was 14. Love the videos. Keep it up. Good work. Talking about you, Sean. They ain't talking about us.
Thank you.
Yeah, we ain't been up that long.
Thank you.
Let me keep going down the line here. Magdump said, 2 Cops, 1 Donut panel. What do you say to 12-month academy and 2 weeks dedicated to refresher training every 6 months? I'm not sure what refresher training we're talking about. But I do think the longer an academy, the better. Where I'm at, it's about 8 months. And that's a good academy. Could it be longer? I think so. I'm a big fan. The longer and the more training you get before you get out there, the better. But you do have number problems, and that's where the battle always begins. How short-handed are your cops versus how well trained do you want them to be?
Yeah, and here in Texas, we have what's called the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement and Education, TCOL, and it's out of Austin, and it's the top dog on making sure that we do everything in the academy, all the basic stuff. Then we have what's called continuing education, and at least when I was in, Texas is one of the higher. What is it, 40 continuation hours, Eric? It's been a while since I've.
Yeah, you got your 40 hours. And then your legislative updates.
Each 2-year cycle that you have to do. And there's a lot of states that don't have anywhere near that. I'm not saying Texas is better than anybody. Matter of fact, TCOL down in Austin was actually completely redone with leadership in the past couple of years. And it's visible. I mean, there's a lot of great folks in that office right now trying to make it better for the citizens. And that's a good step forward. Yeah.
You can never go wrong with longer training. I mean, as long as the training's good. You don't.
Right. It's important.
It's got to be
effective. It's got to be good training.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite things, there's a scenario that we do at our academy, and it's a loud music party. So we have a whole mock city where I'm at. Like, we have really good training. So it's this whole mock city, and it's an apartment, and it's like a fake party is going on. So you got a bunch of actors, and they're all cops. So they know how to push your buttons because they've seen other people try to push our buttons. So the thing that we'll do is this is loud party going on, and we make the recruits, the rookies, we're trying to see if they're going to put their foot in the door, try to stop the person from shutting the door. And I mean, it's like a scared straight program. If you pass, awesome. Good job. That was what you're supposed to do. Next. If you put your foot in the door or you try to stop the door, holy shit. It is like a shark attack when drill instructors in basic training are coming after you knife-handed. Because we want you to be so overwhelmed and understand how bad you just messed up, that you just violated somebody's rights because you broke the threshold of somebody's most sacred place, their home. And I think that's an important thing to do. And I think you need to have that shock value and go through every amendment except the Third Amendment. Because I mean, you can have a soldier trying to quarter in your house. I mean, you never know, I guess. Be fresh up at it. But
that's always been my beef with the training is not enough about the Constitution.
Right. What do they do, Matt? They block train.
It was.
Do they not teach you guys about RAS in the academy? I feel like no one knows what that means. Like, I'm like, hey, you need reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime, and they're like, what's that? And I'm like, what? I'm like, it seems like reasonable articulable suspicion should be the bedrock of any law enforcement officer's career, because it really dictates what you can do. Like, it dictates how you're going to move forward with this call. You guys get calls all the time. Hey, this person's over here walking around my parking lot, and you go and you interact with this person, and you need to understand that. And I feel like a lot of officers that I've come in contact with across the country don't understand what RAS is.
I'm about to go off on a tangent, so buckle up real quick. I've done this one before, but I want to do it for your audience as well. Okay, so here's something to consider. Now, I've been an academy instructor, and I've gotten to train across the nation and see all these different types of training that people do. And a lot of times what I'm seeing is block training, and that's what I was just about to talk with Matt. So what I mean by block training is where I'm at, the best academy style I've seen is a progressive training. You start out with the most basic stuff, and it builds up and it builds up and it builds up for that whole 8 months until you're taking the most complicated of calls, but it's still applying everything you learned at the beginning. What block training often does is, let's say we're going over the Constitution for the first 2 weeks. We don't touch the Constitution again, the entire academy, until you take your test. We don't touch control tactics. You do handcuffing and searching for 2 weeks, and then you don't touch it again. That's block training. And then you've got the difference in academy time. Like I told you guys, where I'm at, it's about 8 months, but there's other academies that are 4 months, and there's other academies besides that that are 6 weeks, because they let some military idiot get in there that thinks that he knows how to be a cop because he was a military cop, so he lateral transfers and uses his creds and now he knows how to be a cop. And that is what that Joffrey fuck did. I think
that seems like a problem.
I think that's what Joffrey did.
Doing that seems like a problem, because how can you just, again, not in the military, not a cop, but I would think that those are completely different jobs. Like, you're dealing with the military and
UCMJ versus yes. That's part of my problem. Now I can say this shit because I'm both.
Excuse me.
And it pisses off military cops that want to go out and be a civilian cop. And I'm telling them, you're not ready. You're not ready. You're not ready to be a cop. You need to go through a full academy. And they don't like that because they think because they're a cop on the base that they know how to do this stuff, and they don't. And so this is my problem with the academies when we get into what you're talking about, Sean, is you have these people that they get this block training, they get RAS training, let's say, and then they go into a city where they've got 10, 20 cops at most. What's the worst crime that you see in a city of 10 to 20 cops? Speeding. And then all of a sudden a guy like Sean shows up, or just anybody, regular old Joe that actually is maybe borderline committing a crime, whatever it is. They don't know how to handle it because they haven't touched it since the academy, and it hasn't happened around them in the last 2 years. That's where you get all these TikTok cops. They have the time to film themselves doing bullshit. And then when a real crime happens in front of them, they can't handle it. Because if you don't use it, you lose it. Sean, do you agree with that? I think if you get basic training in something and you don't touch it again,
all right,
it's a perishable skill.
It's got to be ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. Yes. And if your department is not offering that, you better be doing it on your friggin' own.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Is that, there's a lot of times where it's your job, and whether they're offering it or not, it's up to you to make sure that you're educated on the law. I mean, if I was a cop, I would want to be educated on at least the basic law. It's not that hard. I mean, it's not that hard to understand reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime. It's not a crazy concept to get your head around and wrap your mind around. It's a pretty easy concept, at least to me, and it's one that you'd probably use on a call, any call that you have. Like, do I have reasonable articulable suspicion this person is going to commit a crime, has committed a crime, or is about to commit a crime, right? So I don't understand. It seems like a real big problem in law enforcement. I was like, hey, he's like, give me your ID. When a lot of times they'll say, when a police officer asks for your ID, you have to give them their ID. I'm like, but who taught you that? Like, who gave you that information that just because you have a badge, you can just ask people for their ID, or demand, not ask, because you can ask, right? You can ask anybody for their ID. But to demand someone's ID just because you're a cop, no.
Because they were called there.
Right. Oh, we got a call.
We got a call.
Right. We got a call.
You get to see my ID.
Right. We got to call. That's not the way it works. And a lot of these agencies from everywhere I've been, and I've seen a bunch of different agencies over the last 4 years, from small town cops to large agencies like the NYPD or LAPD, and they all have similar, actions of, and knowledge of like, hey, give me your ID. And I don't even understand what the crazy obsession is with ID. Like that would be like maybe something I would get at the end of me talking to you, not at the very beginning. And they always say like, well, I need to know who I'm talking to. Well, I mean, does looking at my ID tell you who you're talking to? It tells you a name, a date of birth, and you could run me for warrants or whatever, I guess. But just because I don't have warrants doesn't mean I'm not a danger to you. I could be a complete psychopath without warrants. Like how many times these school shooters, all the worst people you've ever seen, have a clean record, and there's nothing wrong, and they just go out and they commit heinous crimes. Your ID doesn't tell you who that person is as a person. Talking to them would do a lot better, I think. Having a dialogue.
When you said that, I got chills because who it reminded me of? That sexy bald man sitting in the corner right there. That's a Matt statement right there. I love
Matt. Matt aligned on a lot of things, man. He's a good dude, man. I love Matt. I love what he does.
I do too.
I want to promote his, the My Father's Business, and what he does so much good work in his community, man. I would love to come out. I told you on the phone the other day, I would love to come out and meet the kids that you work with. I love to talk. I'd love to hang out with you guys, get pizza. I don't know, whatever it is. I want to be a part of it, man. From the moment I met you, I thought you were doing great work over there. Because you're trying to change something. It's more than just, not only are you using your platform on, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere you are, Instagram, to, bring awareness to these sort of issues in law enforcement, but you're actually out there in your city, man. You love your city, you love your community, man. And there's nothing better than that to me. Like,
leading by example.
God bless. Yeah, God bless you.
Lead by example. And that is what we are trying to do here, is lead by example. What's funny, Sean, the little backstory between Matt and I is his people that follow him and my people that follow me were constantly like on the YouTube channel. I'm like, you got to talk to Matt Thornton. You got to talk to Matt Thornton. And his guys were like, you got to talk to Levine. You got to talk to Levine. And finally, we kind of like you and I on the phone call, me and Matt ended up hitting it off and talking for quite a long time. And then we talked again. And then me and Matt were like both doing research on each other behind the scenes, trying to figure out like, is this guy full of shit? Is he nuts? Like, what's the deal? And here we are doing.
You know who I called? Izzo.
Dominic. Yeah, Dominic. Shout out to Izzo, guys. Make sure you guys pay attention to Izzo.
I've been on his channel before.
Yeah, Sean was on that.
I've been on his channel before. We had a good conversation.
He's out there saying shit.
Another guy I got to bring on the channel. I like, he's definitely different. He's like the opposite of you, Matt, in like almost every way.
Yeah.
I talked to him the other day. He's absolutely hilarious to me. He's like, dude, you say things that I can't say, but I want to say.
Thank you. That's he does not give up. And I hope everybody understands that. Like, there's just limited things that we can say on certain things, and we, one day when we're retired, we can amp it up. But right now, we got families.
I'm trying to get fired, Eric.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. But us being in the industry,
you're too much of a hero, man.
This is how we affect change because we're still in it. So I can still like all this. I can tell you, I've become 10 times the cop I ever was simply by starting this show. Because I listen to the feedback and I take that. A lot of my roll call training is stuff that we've discussed on the show. And I'm like, listen, guys, this is the things that you need to pay attention to. So Dead Leg. Yeah, Dead Leg is one of the guys behind the scene. He's no longer a cop, so he can't get fired either. There he goes. Let's go to the comments. Mr. Billfold said, how difficult is it to understand how trespassing works? 4th grade social studies is more complicated, yet many cops are clueless when enforcing it. Yeah. And we hit on the common misconceptions with trespass. We had a super chat from No Sheep Designs. I like that. $10 donation. First off, thank you very much. Said this crew needs to start training departments across the country. If those bozos on street cop training can make a ton of money doing it, you can too. Flix Flex said, I totally get it. I'm retired and the knowledge is open source now. My knowledge is open source. I love it. Let me keep going through the comments. I just want to make sure the people that want to talk to you, Sean, are getting their questions in because you graced us with your presence tonight, sir. I like this one. Hard to fix a broken system, guys. Sorry. That's why you still run into problems. So it's obviously better to just capture the ignorance. Agreed. But as I've said repeatedly on this show, I'm an optimist to a fault. So I don't care if it's an uphill battle. I don't care how hard it seems. I'm going to keep doing the mission. I'm going to keep trying to help. Even if you guys tell me, I'm a wave crashing against the rock. I'm going to keep wearing the rock down. I don't care.
You know what keeps me
I
going?
agree.
What keeps you going is I remember going on Sean's show and I got so much clapback from cops, and oh my gosh, I couldn't even begin to tell you how much heat I took for that. But at the same time, I get inbox from so many young officers that, hey, I just got hired. I want to do police exactly how you do. I want your attitude. So you got to celebrate those wins, and it's that's what keeps you going.
Yeah, I totally agree, Matt. I get a lot of good messages in my inbox from people, from cops, from just regular people who are learning, and hey, you've helped me. You helped me on my lunch break. You helped me. I went through a bad week this week, and just watching your videos, it really, knowing that you're doing something productive and you're helping people out there, whether it's law enforcement or just the general public, and you're doing something that's going to help society and the community. It really helps keep going, because I get a lot of hate as well from different people across the country, from cops, former cops, and just regular, what I call bootlickers. A bootlicker is not somebody who supports police.
I get so mad when I say that word too.
A bootlicker is somebody who supports the police no matter what.
Blindly.
That's what makes you a bootlicker. Yeah. And it's not just the police. You could be a government supporter. Again, I don't talk about politics. What I believe is that, and I'll just say this quickly, is that what I believe, it's not left and right, it's up and down. And it's about economic status. It's not about your political affiliation. It's about dividing we the people, and keeping us divided, so that way, because united we're strong. We need to come together. We need to come together, and united we're strong. And the people who are in power know this, and that's why they want to keep us fighting with each other about these stupid issues that we could find common ground on, like law enforcement. I'm a back the blue person. I'm an ACAB person. No, let's meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's meet in the middle. How about instead of fighting over these extremes, we just find some common ground and actually get some things done in law enforcement, because we're too busy fighting and these problems keep persisting and there is no accountability in law enforcement. I think a lot of this will be cleared up, because ego is going to be everywhere. Yeah. People are going to be poorly trained everywhere. I think if just we had accountability across the board, a lot of these departments would straighten up. If you broke the law, federal law, violating somebody's rights, if you violate someone's rights and you're immediately fired, no ifs, ands, or buts, like it's clear cut, you violated somebody's rights, hey, we got to let you go. If a Walmart employee yells at me when I'm going to buy my groceries and I'm shopping at Walmart, they're going to be fired. It doesn't matter if they had they're not going to tell their manager, hey, I had a bad day today. Well, I'm sorry about that, but you can't talk to customers that way. You're fired. And when Walmart and McDonald's and these entry-level jobs have higher standards than law enforcement, who have the authority to uphold the law, that's a problem. That's a problem. We need high standards, not low standards.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Ooh, I'm getting tired over here, guys.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Guys, I don't go this long normally.
Hard to stop, dude, when the conversation's great.
Yeah, I get it.
You got lots of cool comments like this one, Billboard Nerds. He said, Sean, when are you coming to Vegas? I want to see how officers respond and handle it out here compared to the smaller cities.
I've been to Vegas. I didn't go to Vegas for work, though. I went to Vegas with my wife for her 30th birthday. And I promised myself I wouldn't work, so I did not do anything. I saw there's a lot of police activity over there, but I did not engage in any auditing activities in Vegas. But I have been there. But I plan on going back. I'll be everywhere at least twice. I want to go everywhere, from Alaska, everywhere. I've been to Hawaii. That was a really cool trip. The people in Hawaii are great. Yeah. I've been at a military base in Hawaii where the guy was like, hey, I watch your videos again. When I run into people who have seen my videos, that really it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like, because even till, you would think that I'd be used to it by now, but, with the amount of support I have and subscribers. But till this day, like somebody comes up to me like, hey, can I get a picture with you? I'm like, that's really cool. I was at a live stream at a correctional facility. I was doing a lot. It was live, and this guy pulled up. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Upstate New York, these correctional facilities like are the economy for these little small towns. Like that's how it works. Like these towns wouldn't exist if this correctional facility didn't exist. And this guy just met me in the parking lot with his We the People hat. And he's like, hey, can you sign my hat? And I'm like, oh, he's like, I was watching your live stream. I saw you were down here. I wanted to come down here. And it's cool. It's cool to see. And it still to this day surprises me. I mean, I went to Puerto Rico on vacation too. And I'm at the rental car place. My 11-year-old son's like, hey, Dad, do you think anybody's going to recognize you? I'm like, nah, I don't think so. I'm like, I'm just going to keep it low key. And he's like, as soon as we go out of the airport to the rental car agency, he's like, hey, what's up, Long Island Audit? That's great. I love it. If you see me in public, don't be shy. Yeah. I love taking pictures. I love hanging out. I like having a conversation. It's fine. No big deal.
Yeah. This is the type of shit that I love. This is why I do what I do. We've got member for 2 months, level 6 donut says, I feel undertrained by my police department. Only 4 months long. Thank you guys for doing what y'all do. Like that makes what we do worth it right there. Because
if they took something from this conversation we had, if one person learned something from me, if one law enforcement officer said, you know what, let's, I think I can control my emotions. I got to get my ego in check. Maybe I do. Again, self-reflection isn't a problem, guys. Like, I do it all the time. I reflect on things that I'm doing wrong in my personal life, that I'm doing wrong. I've made plenty of bad decisions in my life. It's how you recover from those decisions. We don't, no one's perfect. We need to acknowledge our mistakes and fix them, critically think about them, and move forward. No one's going to hold it against you unless you do something crazy. Just do the right thing moving forward.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we need to pay attention to that triggers ego. And I just want to put this out there again. This is part of the class that we put on for our rookies and recruits. Is that a lot of times the trigger for ego is unmet expectations. Think about that. Unmet expectations. I asked Sean for his ID and he's like, what do I need to give you my ID for? What am I used to? When I ask for ID, I get it.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, he gives me an unmet expectation. And I got to check my ego right there. It's a natural human reaction to when you get an unmet expectation for that triggered response. And once you are educated on it, and you don't have an excuse now if you're listening to this, I just told you. Unmet expectations trigger ego. It's a natural human reaction. So now that you know that, understand, why did I just get mad all of a sudden? Oh, shit. I expected him to give me the ID and he didn't. Now I need to understand why he didn't give me the ID. Oh, I don't have Raz. I don't have a reason to ID him. Okay, that makes sense. Then now I understand why he said what he said to me, because I overstepped. I asked. He said no. Cool. Like this, I can ask, but he said no. Get your ego out of the way.
And then a lot of times they don't know where to go from there. They're like, wait, what? They get frozen. They're like, wait a minute. This is my script. I get there. I say, hey, let me give me your IDs. And then they get the IDs and I run the IDs. But they said no. And I don't have reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime. So it's like, what do I do now? And they're like, they get in an uncomfortable position. I can imagine. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the person, right? Of the law enforcement. They're like, hey, what do I do now?
Right.
They said no, and I can't force them.
This is a good question for you. Bryant Bush spent $5 in the super chat. Thank you, Brian. But this one's for you, Sean. He said there are new videos every day of bad behavior, making it seem like nothing has changed. Have you seen improvement since you started your activism?
I think I have. I think I have seen improvement from, and it's crazy because I think that it's a lot of these smaller auditor channels and these activists out there that they're doing what they're doing, and I don't criticize anybody. You have a First Amendment right to curse at the police. You have a First Amendment right to call cops pigs. That's your right. Who am I to say that you don't have that right? That I don't think it's a productive use of your language. There's a difference in whether I think that it's productive to solving the problem, but I fully support your right to curse out the police and use profanity and do that. That's fine. You can do it all day long. And it's up to law enforcement to understand that. And again, if you don't want people calling you pigs and do it, you could have chose a job being a paramedic. Like, you knew what you were doing. Like, let's not kid ourselves here. You knew that people don't like the police. when you took that job. If you wanted people to love you, you could have been a firefighter. Everybody loves a firefighter, right? So, you took a job where
Fuck off.
you're going to face criticism. You got to learn how to deal with that criticism. You got to. So,
Yep.
I definitely have seen a lot. I've seen it across the country. I've seen it. I've gone to Mississippi or somewhere else, and there were somebody where they wouldn't even know about these things. Like, oh, I've seen these videos before, and it kind of takes away from it. I should say my popularity. It kind of takes away from it a little bit, because they'll be like, I recognize that voice. I recognize you. Like, I know who you are. You're Long Island Audit, and then they behave a little bit differently.
Yeah,
and it's not. I don't want somebody to change their behavior because of who I am. I want them to change their behavior because it's lawful. It's the right thing to do, and it's lawful.
Yeah. Yep, I'm with you. Lazor Photography said, much love, Sean, from Utica, New York. You set the bar for how auditors should be and act. Love your content.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Message like that. John Griggs did $5 on a super chat. Ex-cop here. It's not a training issue or more training. It's qualified immunity and bad cops keeping their retirement. That will change things. Matt.
Amen.
That's your forte, brother.
Because consequences, right? Consequences for your actions is what's, and the crazy part is that's what law enforcement's all about. You're holding people accountable for their actions, yet you're not held accountable for your actions most of the time. Again, nuance, the word of the day.
Nuance. I like it. Nuance. Let's see. We had another No Sheep's Design said, this crew needs to start training departments across country. We already spread that one.
Oh, we've seen that.
Yeah, that one popped up. He got bonus right there. Blade Runner tool sharpening before and after. That is a long name, brother. I love it. He said they make 50 to mostly 200,000 a year. They can't spend an hour a week to educate themselves about their job.
You don't even gotta read a book. Just watch Two Cops, One Donut. Watch Long Island. Watch Matt Thornton.
Watch Sean Shorts. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, watch Sean Shorts. Yep.
Yeah, just go watch the shorts. Just hang out on there.
Hey man, this is what I'm talking about, Sean. It's hard to say no because don't stop. Keep going, guys. Like we got 2,000 people still logged on.
I get it. I'm losing my voice here, guys.
Yeah.
I gotta run. I gotta run the second too.
Okay. Before we go, let's do one more all the way through. We won't stop it, but let's do one more of Sean's videos because I just want, it's him, baby. I want to show him off. It's just a short. It's not one of the full videos. Let's do this guy. This looks like a good one. So let's see. Sean can rest his voice. Share. Okay, that's about as big as it's going to get. So I have not seen this one. This doesn't look familiar to me. So this is a blind reaction when I watch it. And let's unmute it and play.
You guys.
I'm gonna have you just step out here with us.
For what?
Because we need to talk to you, so just go ahead and step out here with us.
Oh, we can talk right here, right?
I'm gonna have you step out here.
Why would that be? Can I get your name and badge numbers, please?
Yep, we can do that when you step out here.
But why would I need to step out there?
Outside.
Are you conducting business in here?
Yeah, for sure.
What business are you
I would ask that you de-escalate and identify yourselves, please. I would just, respectfully, because I don't like the way that. Sorry, sir.
What business are you conducting here?
Ma'am, what business of that is yours, to be honest with you? And you're not even identifying yourself to me as a law enforcement officer.
My vest identifies who I am. My name tag identifies who
I don't know how to pronounce
that. So we got
that.
a call. That's fine. You don't have to know how to pronounce it. We got a call.
I mean, I would like
that
to.
You were in here.
We got a
And then
call.
You needed to be removed
There it
from
is.
here.
Okay, and that's what you're trying to do, correct?
Well, I was just trying to talk to you.
No, you're trying to order me to leave.
No, I said, can you step out here?
And I politely refused, and I said we could talk right here,
Okay.
and so we could lower our voices and not
So
interrupt any
what
business.
do you have here?
Oh, I'm an independent journalist.
Okay.
I'm taking some pictures and video.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing. Can I get your badge number or anything that
G704 is my badge.
G704
That's
and your name, sir, and badge number?
I'm Lieutenant Jones, 640.
Lieutenant Jones. Thank you, Lieutenant. I appreciate it.
All right, so what you need?
I don't need anything. I didn't call you,
Well,
sir.
if you don't need anything, you need to leave the building then.
What do you mean?
Well, if you're not here to conduct business, you need to leave.
I am conducting business, sir. I'm conducting constitutionally protected business, sir.
Okay, are you...
Did you take an oath? Did you take an oath to uphold the Constitution, sir? Hey, how are you?
Boom. That's the end of that one. So I wrote down notes on this one because I I'm already ready to go off. But so Sean, can you give us a little background on where you're at and what you're doing?
I don't remember exactly where I'm at in this
It looks like a
video.
DMV.
It's a yes, it is a DMV. I don't know where exactly it was, but some of the cops there knew who I was too. But I gotta say this: female officers tend to come out and be more aggressive than male officers. From my own personal experience, they tend to be more aggressive and like just more assertive, and maybe they're trying to like I don't know, but that's just my take. Overcompensate, right? That's what I'm looking for. But yeah, no, I was in a public lobby of like a DMV or whatever, and she's like, let's talk outside or whatever, and I didn't want to. Again, I try not to I don't even want to talk. Like I don't want to talk. I don't want to. I just want to continue what I'm doing. I'll tell you what I'm doing. But do you see how their energy and the way that they come off at first is how that's how it always dictates what I'm going to do.
They open the door.
Hey sir, how are you? My name is Officer so-and-so. Hey, my name is Sean. I'm an independent journalist. I'm just here recording. I'm taking pictures. It's not a big deal. I'm not doing anything. But then I don't want to answer any questions if you're not. Why should I answer your questions? I have a right not to answer your questions. There's a difference, right? It's a power dynamic that I have a right, a constitutional right, not to answer any of your questions whatsoever. I don't have to talk to you whatsoever. I could just be there and be silent. There's people who do silent audits. And I don't have to talk to you. So just me talking to you is me being cooperative in a way. So that one ended with them walking away and doing nothing. There were some people in there that knew who I was, and they ended up not doing anything about it. But
yeah. Now, so part of my problem. So first off, I just from the police side of things, and Matt and Banning, you can chime in on this too. But name and badge number, like that is that's an automatic right away. Just give it to them. If your goal is to de-escalate, one of the best things you can do is give information. Why am I being pulled over? Oh, sir, the reason I pulled you over is because you were doing, 75 and a 25. Okay, cool. Now a little bit of information's been shared. That's really what it comes down to most of the time. And just like in this, when you ask for a name and badge number, that isn't that you're a public servant. Like that.
I hate it on traffic stops when officers, I got to tell you, I hate it on traffic stops. When I see these traffic stop videos and they're like, give me I'll tell you in a minute.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I pulled you over in a minute.
Yeah.
Like you're just asking for problems. Like whether legally or not, you have to tell somebody exactly why you pulled them over is irrelevant. Like you should just tell somebody, hey, you got a broken taillight. Hey, I got you doing a 55 and a 45. Whatever it is, just tell them quickly. There's no need. I'll tell you in a minute after you give me your license. Right. I hate it.
That's a great power.
I hate that, man.
Some departments train that way, and I don't understand that. We have a guy on here pretty regularly, Fridays with Frank. That's how he does it.
That's him. Yes, he does that a lot. Yes, he
loves doing that. And I told him straight up, I'm like, bro, I'm like, his thing is that's how he was trained, and it's a way to make sure that if the person runs, you've got their ID or whatever, like whatever excuse they want to come up with. But I'm just like, I don't agree with that one. I don't like that.
It just sets the bad tone. Yes, I'm familiar with his videos. It just sets a bad tone from the straight. Like, hey, that's the first question anybody has when they get pulled over. Why did you pull me over? I mean, most of the time, but why'd you pull me over? I pulled you over. Hey, my name is Deputy whatever. I am. And then I seen a video one time of that guy. He was like, why are you recording? Again, another question that I don't like. Why are you questioning somebody's constitutional right if you know somebody? And it's even crazier coming from that guy because he's literally recording.
I'll give Frank credit. Like he's big on like, get your camera out. My cameras are here too. So
right. I mean, he records everything, right? Yeah. I mean, he does. And I'm not saying I have a problem with that guy at all. I don't have any problem with anybody. We can have disagreements on certain things and we can have debates on certain things. No one's perfect. But I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I think it's a bad way to start
get him, Matt. Matt,
I said you taking this person's freedom temporarily, you tell them why right off the bat.
Yep.
I don't buy any other argument other than I don't care about anything else.
Yeah, currently California is the only state that's law.
Right.
It should be nationwide.
So
should be national.
Just for those listening, I try to educate every time we can. The only state that is mandatory for the officers to tell you what the offense is when they pull you over on a traffic stop is California. Now, there's a caveat to that. If they run your plate and you're wanted for like a violent warrant, if they find a traffic offense to pull you over. So often this is what cops will do. You'll have a violent warrant hit, let's say you're wanted for aggravated assault, whatever it is, on your license plate. Officers will still look for a traffic offense as well to pull you over. So if you were speeding, now they may pull you over for that speeding and tell you they pulled you over for that, but they're not going to disclose that they pulled you over for a violent warrant until they have you out of the car and probably got you in cuffs, because more often than not, people wanted for violent offense are going to fight back. So I get that. I understand that purpose. Go ahead, Vanny.
Let's talk about the video we just watched with Sean.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten into it yet.
just for the law enforcement officers that are watching, and I know there's a lot that we're watching here, and hopefully to learn. As soon as you walk into a situation like this, you've been called. Okay, you've been called to a location of a person doing this, this, and this, and you can walk in there as a peace officer. Walk in. Yep. Okay, I got a guy there holding the camera. He's got a camera attached. Okay. He's not breaking the law. Go find your call taker. What am I here for? What can I help you with?
Yes.
Period. You go, well, this guy's doing this, and you turn back around. You take that time right there to educate that call taker. This gentleman is not breaking the law. Well, blah, blah, blah. You know what? You're creating the scene now. So let's step you out of privacy, because now you are infringing by calling me here as that law enforcement officer. Period. We have got to take it that as a peace officer across the nation as an educational purpose. When people like Sean are out there doing this, the ones that are trained correctly need to be able to take that opportunity to train the call taker. Hey, he's not breaking the law. He can stand there from the time the doors open to the public till the time the doors close. If he wants to stand there and film everybody, there may be people that come in and don't understand why. Guess what? As that former call taker getting educated, now educate the general public. If you don't want to be filmed, go back to your Fourth Amendment protected home, shut your friggin' blinds, and sit in there to where no cameras can see you. There it is. If you're out in public, if you can be seen by the human eye, you may be recorded. And there's some cities around here that have 6,000-7,000 cameers out there. You got to go to the grocery store. You're going to be on camera.
I got a good video for that. We'll show after we talk, because I want Sean I want to discuss his video here a little bit more. Sean, one of the things that I love that you pointed out was she wanted to know your business. And you right away, my business, none of your business. And I was like, shit.
I mean, and she, the way she came out and she says, I was called here to remove you, right? She's already saying that it's already telling me from Jump Street that she's trying to remove me from the building. She's trying to violate my rights. She's not, again, they haven't even talked to anybody there. I totally agree with banning. I think that's perfect. Go talk to whoever called you, because you didn't get any context, I'm sure. Go talk to whoever called you and try and figure out exactly what it is this person is doing before you even interact with the person. Because maybe he is breaking the law. Maybe he is, I don't know, committing a disorderly conduct for whatever state that a disorderly conduct can be, whatever. But the point is that find out exactly what's going on first, and then deal with it from there. I think that's great advice. I think it would save cops a lot of embarrassment, a
lot of time.
I don't even feel this actually happened to me a couple months ago. A lady flags me down, said, "Oh, she was recording," and I said, "That's legal." And so I didn't even bother addressing the person with the camera. There's no need to.
There's no need to make contact.
It's legal. And
why address? Why you?
I don't even know how bad I would be if I got called and Sean was there and be like, hold on a second. All right, what do you want? Okay, he's allowed to do that. Now I got to wait for Sean to leave so I can go make contact with Sean later and be like, bro, you're awesome.
I mean, bottom line to this is I understand dispatchers have a policy in place. We received a call. Now they input it into what's called computer-aided dispatch. That is dispatched to an officer. But the policies also need to allow the police department and dispatch to say, I can call and this person that called 911 or the non-emergency and get a little bit more information as the peace officer who has jurisdiction there. Because you may not even need to make scene. If there's no reason to make scene, why use the tax dollars to go park there, go inside, and waste 20 to 30 minutes when you can be that peace officer, call the freaking phone number of the complainant, and educate them? Because if they're just in there recording, let's have a little education over the phone. If you'd like to talk about it more, swing on down to your local police department at a good time for you, and we'll explain it to you more.
Well, we'll help get you some more. You say peace officer, and it reminds me of I love using. Matt always talks about this, and I've used this in my trainings. I've used this in my audits. Professional peacemaker, and I love that, man. I just got to bring that up because I use that all the time, and I use it, and I give you credit for it. That's what you are, and it's beautiful, really. When you keep the peace, like just keep the peace. Like use your discretion. You can use your discretion. You can do those things. You can, because how many times have cops used discretion for other cops, right? I mean, you do, right? It just is what it is. Like, it's happened. So use it for the public. This is not a really big of a deal.
And this is not a Sean video. At least I don't think it is. We find so this one was sent in to us. I ended up making a video of it because more often than not, and Sean, maybe you can talk to this a little bit. The citizens try to use the police as a vessel to take care of what they think is against the law. And so I'm going to play this one and let you guys see. And then
you want Sean to come back?
I know. This is the last one. Last one, I promise. Real quick. Last one, I promise.
Things.
What things?
The things that I'm working on.
What things is that? I can't see nothing.
Yes, you can.
No,
You're zooming in on a legal office.
No.
You zoomed in on me. I asked you to stop. Now he's here.
Oh, no, not him. Who's he?
Everything all right?
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
I found him. I walked over there to ask a question. He was zooming
Found
in.
him.
And then I asked him to take me off camera, and he wouldn't. My stuff's right here. I don't want him zooming in on things that I'm working on.
Okay, so here's the thing. He's in public. He's allowed to record anything that's in view of the public.
Yes, ma'am.
I asked him to turn it off.
It doesn't. If you're in public, he's allowed to record you as well.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
A law firm is in public?
It's in view of the public, yes. So anything, that's like saying that I'm not allowed to look in your windows, right?
Right.
So anything that's in view of the public, he's allowed to record.
Okay, you're harassing me. Please leave me alone.
You walked all the way across the street to come to me. I didn't harass you. I was walking down the street.
So
Seems like he's kind of following me because I was there, not here.
I don't think that's the case, family.
No.
Because he was over here before you were here.
Like, I was over there, I walked over here, now she follows me over here.
Here's the deal, okay? He's allowed to record. He's in public. He's allowed to be on public sidewalks.
Yeah,
There's
cool.
nothing. I know you don't like it. You don't have to like it, but it's a right to do so, right?
Okay.
Just like how you can pull out your phone, you can record it.
But I'm not.
You could.
Just
But
stop.
you can.
It's your right.
Hold on, let me ask you.
It's your right.
How do you pronounce that? Kaiser.
Kaiser, nice.
First shout out to crime. So
Kaiser subscribes to Long Island Audit. I promise you that.
yeah.
Shout out to Kaiser. If he's watching this, he sees this somehow. Good job, man. That was great.
So that's what I wanted to point out. So what Banning was saying and what we were talking about, that is how it should be handled every time, where we take the time.
You didn't even talk to the guy.
Yeah. Educate every time. That is how you
didn't even talk to the guy. And I think I hate it when citizens will use, just regular members of the public will use law enforcement. They try and say, even when I was at the correctional facility, he's like, well, I'm going to call New York State Police. And I was like, okay, like, the guys that swore an oath to uphold my rights, like, am I supposed to be scared? Like, they say these things, like public servants or just members of the public will say, like, we're going to call the police on you. And it's like, okay, like, I'm not scared of the police. Like, why would you using the police as some sort of threat against me for what? Like I'm supposed to be scared? Like, okay, call them. I'll have a conversation with them. It's not a big deal, but they want to use the police to enforce their feelings. And sadly enough, police will enforce people's feelings sometimes. She doesn't feel comfortable. I've seen it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's, but this guy did great. He's like, man, it is what it is. You don't have to like it. I don't think that's the case. He's following me. I don't think that's the case.
yeah. I love it. Yeah.
He was quick. Just boom, 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 boom.
Sean,
they need to be highlighted. I'm glad that you highlighted that video. I've never seen that video. That was a good one.
Yeah. And we, like I said, we try to show that shit as best we can. I want good examples all the time. I want cops screwing up on it. I explain why they screw up and where we fix it. I want to see cops do good, like that one, and explain where he did well and where the citizen is mistaken on her own rights. So that's the key in all of this. But somebody paid $2 to let you go to sleep, sir. So
Yeah.
I put that up there.
That's Matt's burner account.
Yeah, that was who was it? That was Neil. Shotguns and Tattoos paid $2 to let you go to sleep.
I'm an hour ahead of you guys. Remember that too.
Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry, brother, but I just
no, it's fine. We can have a
conversation.
conversation. I actually pulled up a video that I wanted to show you guys, but it's late. But it's a really good video. But we got we could continue this conversation. I'll come back on the channel. You can come on my channel, whatever it is. But
that's a win.
There's some there's some crazy ones that I'm sure you've seen them, Matt, but. There's some crazy ones that like these rookie cops will just go crazy because they're the ones that are fresh out of the academy are the worst.
Oh yeah.
Or the old timers or the old ones. Like 30 years.
Yeah.
Another one.
Yeah. That's
20. Matt, he didn't even know.
Basically, Matt.
Eric didn't even know about the Danbury one where the guy said that 20 years ago he would have killed me with my teeth missing.
Yeah,
Insane.
I never heard of that one.
I would
That
have.
was the
He said
Tibbetts call.
20 years ago he'd been dead with his teeth missing. I would have done it. Insane.
You should be in prison for saying that.
Insane. It's like, dude. I mean, at least fired. I mean, whatever. It's crazy.
Yep. So sorry, but Sean, I first and foremost from all of us here at Two Cops One Donut and DTV, thank you so much for gracing us, dude. Like, I'm so honored to have you on because I really think you're making a big difference out there. And I don't care if you're another cop and you hear me saying that and it pisses you off, you need to check yourself.
Yep, I back what Eric just said. So 100%.
That's a you problem. That's a you problem. Because I love what you're doing. I will do anything in my power to get you out there more, to get you involved in some training stuff. We plan to do some shows based on exactly what you're talking about with DTV and with Matt being the forefront of that. He doesn't know that yet, but that's what I'm doing with him. And I would love for you to be a part of.
I'm a part of.
Yeah, I would love for you to be a part of that, brother. As your audience probably seen, I'm the voice for the Two Cops One Donut stuff. I talk a lot. I don't want to be that guy for other stuff. I want Matt, because Matt has a lot of good things to say. Banning is my wingman on this, and we do what we can. But yeah, dude, thank you so much. Do you got anything you want to shout out? Anything? How can people find you? All that good stuff.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, my bad. I thought you were talking to Matt. I was reading the chat for a second. My bad. No, Long Island Audit everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X, whatever. Twitter, whatever you want to call it. But everywhere. Everything's at Long Island Audit. I want to thank you for, having this conversation with me. Thanks, Matt, for reaching out to me and vouching for these guys. Banning, it was a pleasure meeting you, man. I love where your head's at. Love your mentality. Thank you for your service to your community over the years. I know you're not active anymore. Eric, thanks for your continued service to your community. Matt, same thing to you. You serve your community the best I've ever seen, man. You not only as a law enforcement officer, but as a community leader.
Yep, Matt.
You serve your community and you help the youth in your community. And you put your time where your money where your mouth is, time where your mouth is. You walk the walk.
We get it.
You walk.
Yeah, he walks the walk.
You walk the walk. And I know I want to help. I want to help you in what you're doing and be a part of it in more ways than financially. I want to actually be on the ground and help you when I have time. I do visit Illinois a lot, so
I'm through. We're waiting.
I would love to come over there. All right, man. Thank you.
Thank
you guys for your community watching. If you don't like me, don't worry. You can get to know me a little bit better. Maybe you will. We can have a drink together or something. If you don't like me, it is what it is. I'm not really worried about it. I'm not going to lose sleep about it. I only lose sleep on this live stream. That's what I'm losing.
Dang, I'm sorry, brother.
But no. It was a great conversation. I appreciate it, guys. Banning again. Eric, Matt, thank you guys.
I'm not jumping off. I don't know if anybody else is, but Sean,
I gotta jump off.
I know Matt's gotta go. So Sean, thank you, brother. You take.
All right, take care.
Appreciate you very much.
All right, brothers. Love you guys.
Appreciate it,
Matt.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Matt, tell everybody where to find your nonprofit, dude.
Oh, it's mfbyouth.org, or my father's business, or at Detective Matt Thornton. It's on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
Yeah,
I am a full supporter. I'm letting you know right now, Long Island Audit is a full supporter of Matt's nonprofit. Well, full stop. I think he's doing great work. And go support it. I'll put a link. I'm going to add a link to my description. My
man, I appreciate that, man.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, sorry, man. I have to teach him how to do this social media stuff, so I had to make him shout it out. So
I'm slow.
I know. All right, guys, take it easy.
I love you guys. We'll see y'all.